So let me get this straight. The Klopeks are offering up Walter as a sort of human sacrifice to Beelzebub, is that it?
It's kind of crazy. This is the first Joe Dante movie we're doing. A couple weeks ago, talking about Little Shop of Horrors. In the intro, I talked about the Roger Corman School of Filmmaking. The directors from Martin Scorsese to Coppola to Peter Bogdanovich that came out of doing often low-budget work with Roger Corman. Joe Dante is definitely one of Corman's best-known prodigies. He got his start in the trailer cutting department for Corman in 1974. By 1975, he had started directing when he and Alan Arkush made Hollywood Boulevard for $54,000. By 1977, Joe Dante worked with John Sayles to make the horror film Piranha for $600,000. Piranha was a hard shoot with the budget they had, but was almost blocked by Universal as they released Jaws 2.
Piranha, they're here, and they're hungry. Piranha, rated R.
But Spielberg intervened to stop the movie from being blocked on the grounds that it was a parody. Spielberg later got Joe Dante a gig directing Gremlins, which was by far his most famous film. Tonight we're talking about Joe Dante and Dana Olsen's 1989 The Burbs, starring Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, Rick Ducommun, Corey Feldman, Wendy Schall, and Henry Gibson. The Burbs is a satirical look at the suburbs of the late 1980s and the famous satanic panic where people in the suburbs became incredibly paranoid at the idea that Satanists may be lurking among them. Tom Hanks plays Ray Peterson, who lives with his wife Carol, played by Carrie Fisher, and their son Dave. Ray is overly stressed and incredibly bored and takes a week-long vacation to relax.
Ray, this is Walter.
But he can't relax when his neighbors, Art Weingarten and the arms dealer, Mark Rumsfield, convince him that perhaps the new neighbors, who none of them have even seen or talked to at first, are Satanists who have kidnapped and murdered their neighbor Walter. The evidence, Walter appears to have disappeared, and the neighbors are kind of strange.
Everyone, Satan is good, Satan is our pal. Ray!
Dana Olsen, who wrote the screenplay, grew up in a suburb in Illinois, which had a story from the 1930s about a legendary hatchet murder.
Skip's house. The firemen show up, they go into Skip's house. You know what they find?
What?
Skip's family, dead, murdered by Skip weeks earlier with an ice pick.
Olsen originally pitched it as a kind of parody of Rear Window, an early version of the film with the Klopeks, the new neighbors, killing Ray and getting away with it. But since it was Tom Hanks, they couldn't let him die on screen. It was filmed for $18 million, almost entirely on the Universal backlot. Some of the critics lament that this being a Tom Hanks movie, as good as Tom Hanks is, means that the possibilities were limited.
Nice to meet you.
Ray Peterson.
Oh, pardon my dog.
Nobody wants to see Tom Hanks die, and in as much as this is a movie talking about xenophobia, or as Joe Dante put it, fear of the other, it's a bit disappointing that they didn't swing big and make it so the family was just strange and not actually evil. Yet the point is still taken, and our fear of what isn't us, our fear of the other, can easily consume us and take away our basic understanding of who we are. Although many critics were harsh at the time, The Burbs has become a cult classic, especially since VHS releases made the film way more popular. Joe Dante calls it his most famous film after Gremlins.
People like Skip, people who mowed their lawn for the 800th time and then snap? Well, that's us! It's not them! That's us! We're the ones who are vaulting over the fences! And
Before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Then hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Super chats are now open. If you have any pressing questions, send us a super chat, which helps me maintain the expenses for the show, which I am obligated by the rules of the Geneva Convention to stop everything and ask the panel. Another way to help us out is to become a patron and give us money every month. In exchange, you get access to all of our after parties, bonus content, and we'll tell you even more movies we watched recently. Patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. We have a Movie Night Extravaganza Discord. There's an invite link in the episode description, and we have a Letterboxd HQ account. So those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Okay, let me introduce the illustrious panel. Conan Neutron is the host of Protonic Reversal, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, and the frontman for the band Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. You can check out his music and hopefully buy some at neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends' latest album, The Way of the Neutron, is available on Bandcamp. Order it today. Kristina Oakes is a co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and a Twitch streamer. You can find her streaming at twitch.tv/cosmopolitics. All of her social media accounts are also at Cosmopolitics. She's on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and even occasionally on Letterboxd. Matt Strackbein, aka The Letterhack, is an artist and YouTuber who wrote the New Economic Bill of Rights comic strip, A Vision for 2024 and Beyond with Harvey J.K. last year. YouTube.com/The Letterhack. I, of course, am your host and strange neighbor, Forrest Miller. Da Burbs.
We'll go down to Da Burbs. SNL bit, by the way, right? If I remember right, that's
Yeah,
George
Da Bears.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's Da Bears.
Da Bears. Yeah, George.
Are you
Cheers.
that neighbor? Are you that neighbor, Forrest? Are people always like, I've never seen anybody take his trash out like that? Why did
I'm
he do
apparently Bruce Dern. Look at this.
I am that neighbor. I live in a cul-de-sac. I do. So that line when they're like, when they're like driving down the thing, and they're like, oh, you know, every time I can't get away whenever there's a cul-de-sac or whatever.
Yeah.
That I do live on a cul-de-sac.
that? Me too. I do
I
too
used
now.
to.
Yeah.
Take the
I'm the
picture.
house right at the top of the circle.
Doing Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
Over there.
That is awesome.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was more exhausting than I wanted to let on. I was like, oh my god, that's so uncomfortable. I can't believe this is the first Joe Dante movie that we've done because I'm a big Joe Dante fan. I am a big fan of this movie. I'm a huge fan of Inner Space, completely underrated movie.
Oh yeah.
I think Small Soldiers is very good. Gremlins
We've
is
had
not
Gremlins
only
on
Best one.
the movies to do list for the
for
longest
forever.
Yeah.
Not only
We've
the
done this podcast for how many years now?
right. Not only for me the best movie of that genre, also one of the best sequels because they did without being anything like Alien and Aliens. Gremlins 2 is the let's upend what a sequel can even be, and like completely like go another route with it. To the point that arguably a lot of the self-aware humor, you know, start with sensational She-Hulk, all the way down to Deadpool, so on and so on, doesn't exist without Gremlins 2. Because it was like, that was a huge movie. Because you're like, wow, they made a sequel to Gremlins? Wow, what's that going to be like? And the answer is insane. The answer is completely insane, but also badass and literally transgressive, fourth wall breaking, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like The Burbs is his most Matinee too. Fuck, how did I forget about Matinee? Matinee actually it totally goes as well. I will say, I think it's his most sort of misunderstood / forgotten about movie. Honestly, one of my favorite Tom Hanks performances. He's great in this.
It's interesting. I was watching like interviews with Joe Dante, and he was talking about how over time, right, like it's gone from everyone being like Gremlins, everyone wants to talk about Gremlins, to actually a lot more people. He said, oh, like recently, like, you know, since they've had, because they had a Blu-ray release, they had VHS release, obviously way back, and they had like DVD releases. So he said since that, and they also had it on Netflix for a while, but now like you can't really find it anywhere. You have to buy it.
In an archive.
Yeah, no, that's where I got it too. But
but officially, yes, nowhere you can legally watch it. Correct.
Yeah, he said that you know, people have said like The Burbs, like he gets that so much more now.
Yeah, it's I would say not only is it one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies, it's one of my favorite movies for everyone in this movie. Like every single person, like I think personally for me, Corey Feldman should have stopped
He's
making
never-
movies.
You'll-
Here. He almost did.
He's never
Apparently-
been better, for sure.
Apparently he was burning out at this stage. Like he was almost done with movies permanently, but it's like Stand By Me, Goonies, Lost Boys, The Burbs, right? Like those are like just classics, and he would have had the best reputation ever. But like there's not one performance in The Burbs that isn't on point. Even if it's hokey or cartoonish, it's totally
like
meant
Corey
to be
Feldman
that
is
way.
basically a cross between a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle and Bart Simpson, and I
Yeah,
say that with
yeah.
peace and love in my heart,
Yeah.
but in a good way, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Matt. That I mean, Bruce Stern's freaking incredible. It's like one of my
Amazing.
favorite roles of his, and that dude has been like a million things, right?
Yeah.
Again, Tom Hanks. I think. For whatever reason, I seem to like Tom Hanks at his most like unhinged and screaming. That appears to be where I like him. But I mean, he's so good. He's so good in this. And if there's, I think the whole ensemble is Carrie Fisher. Is not given much to do. She's kind of the straight woman, but she's great. I mean, Wendy Schall is occupying a specific '80s trope that seems incredibly dated now. But
It
like,
does. and like from day one when I saw this in '89, I was like, Carrie Fisher's way hotter. Like I'm lusting after Carrie Fisher as a teenager.
Wait. Not even her in the gold bikini? Like what? No?
No, this is what I'm saying. Like compare, like in
let's
this movie,
not hot or not Carrie Fisher's roles. That's a little bit. That's too far. It's a bit too far.
They give you they give you like, oh, this is the proverbial, 80s stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time I was thinking like, no thanks. Like
Well, 'cause
Carrie
this is-
Fisher's amazing. And anyway, but like her facial expressions even, like think about how many times in this movie she's just like glancing.
Yeah.
And
Like,
she's not even doing a Margaret Dumont. She's clearly the voice of reason and correct about everything, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like,
But
it's
she's
So
cool.
relatable. She's just like me for real.
But it's like there's so many scenes. There's basically, hey, can Ray come out and play? Sort of scene, which is so hilarious because it just shows like the childlike nature of these dudes and their quest. And again, Carol's right about everything. She's 100%, but it is like from that slobs versus snobs 80s thing, right? That probably is the apex with Caddyshack. But there was a thing where it's like, nah, but the boys gotta be boys. They gotta run around and blow up people's houses. And so what makes this movie so interesting is like it shows you the real ramifications of what that is. Right, and then you get that crazy impassioned speech with Tom Hanks at the end, which I love. I was mentioning before the show. I sampled that for a song years ago. They never got around to doing, but the only thing that kind of subverts it a little bit is the ending, where it's like, oh no, they actually are doing evil. Where it's sort of like, oh, it would have been, especially now in 2025, it would have been better if it's like, no, this is just like suburbia driving people crazy. Which that point is like said aloud multiple times, and reinforced. But then it's sort of undercut by the fact that, like, oh yeah, he is doing some Mangala stuff down there.
Well, so it's like
our bad
pro suburbanite. It's like, oh, they were right. Like they could have built that up even more if they cared to. But like, because the whole time I'm thinking they're not evil. They're not doing anything. It's explainable, whatever it is. But then you're like, oh no, Tom Hanks and his weird neighbors were totally right. Like. Then you watch it a second time, and I've watched it a million times, and it's like I love how they won't let it go, and now
ever.
they come off like heroes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but it's funny because up to the last 10 minutes, you could have made it go either way.
Yeah,
like you could just be taken off in the ambulance, and then of course there's the original ending they wanted to do where he just gets taken off in the ambulance, and like it's implied heavily that they kill him, and like not only was he right, he's the next victim, and nobody ever sees him again. And that was like, but they said the studio said like, well, no, because there's the ending they shot, but the original ending in the script that they had written was that.
But then they filmed a second ending.
Yeah,
the alternate ending.
They couldn't decide on an ending, but what they wanted to do, what Joe Dante wanted to do, is he wanted to have, he wanted to have like the Rick character, or whatever, like get taken away and then get killed. And you're like, oh shit! Not only was he right, like he died for he died.
Right. He would have the ultimate.
Right.
The thing.
And Universal said you can't kill Tom. Like literally, the line was, you can't kill Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks cannot die.
Right. That was the
Yeah.
note, right? So something that I learned, and to be clear, when we do movies on this show, I make a studious effort not to listen to any other show's episodes
Why?
of this because I just don't want to. Well, because I don't want to be influenced by.
I know. But that's how I'm like, why would you want to watch any other? You know, like that.
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Well, this is the
Why
only show
would
that
you?
exists.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's
The only
okay,
movie
he's
show.
influenced. So, yeah. Oh yeah, the only one that exists in the universe, right?
Yeah.
But friend of the show, Kev from Austin Danger Podcast, and Mackenzie Wilkes from Austin Danger Podcast, they did an episode of The Burbs a while ago, and I listened to it, and I didn't realize that this movie was filmed during a writer's strike. So the writer was on hand, right? But he was not allowed to give any input or write anything in real time. And so that's interesting to me because then you have situations where the actors are just told to improv, which how you get these Satan is my pal, Satan is my friend. Like like some of the most amazing lines are all just like crazy improvs where people are just going.
Take me to the hospital. I'm sick.
Yeah, right, exactly. And like so some of the classic lines are just that. But it's an interesting example of if that writer strike hadn't been going on, that maybe we would have like a more cohesive innings. I feel like for me this could be like a 5-banger like all-timer with a stronger ending. And what's funny about that is that most modern movies have a third act problem. Almost every modern movie has a third act problem. It's like people don't know how to write third acts at all, period. But
Like
I feel
endings.
like Burbs is great. It's almost like it's impeccable for the first 2 acts, and like the third is like, yeah, good. Like ends on like a C average, right?
No way. No.
Uh-uh.
For me, it's solid all the way through. Like it's, first of all, like it's amazing that they can do it so linear. Like it's
sure.
And I think they even filmed it that way. Like they didn't film the end first or anything like that, right? They just filmed it straight through. It comes off like a stage production to me. It doesn't leave the set really, right? It doesn't leave the environment. And at the end, they're blowing up the set. Do you know what I'm saying? Like to me, it's like burn it down, right? Like I felt like the actors themselves must have been like, we're so over it, let's just burn this whole place down. But that aside, the quips and the personalities, they only build as it goes, and no one is ever truly regretful or not regretful long enough to make you be like, come on, man, I wanted Tom Hanks to commit to this. You know what I mean? Like there's moments where you think his character, where Ray is on his wife's side and he's going to rein in his friends, and then he totally doesn't. And you're like, yes, keep going with that. And then at the end, they do it again where he's giving the speech about, I'm a shell of a man, Art, it's your fault, right? And they didn't do anything to us. Yeah. It's so funny. And then he's right again. You know what I mean? But then they just go home and everything's, to me,
they go
it's
to
a
the
cartoon start to finish. And I think committing to
Very
that
cartoonish.
was I appreciated that. I appreciate it.
So I guess I should amend that. And
I
say
see
that
what you
it's not
mean,
that I
though.
think it's bad. I'm just saying it could have been a masterwork if
They
like,
would
it
have
really...
naturally rewritten a lot of stuff as they went along, right? They would have.
Because here's my mindset, right? So you have that great Tom Hanks speech, so they keep themselves. Can you blame them? They live next door to people who break into their house and burn it down while they're gone for the day. Like, which is really just the apex of just like, that is literally what happened.
Yeah,
like, because you're with them and they're just
Right.
having these like man-child like misadventures, right? And you're like, wow. Meanwhile, we, the audience, are basically Corey Feldman and his friends, like hanging out, just watching, right? Watching Bruce Dern, oh my God, completely just eat it, like falling off the roof, which I forgot how funny that was. I was like, oh my God, like that would be
It's so
horrific
good.
in real life, but it's so goddamn funny in the movie. But again, coming at them from not being 1989, right?
Yeah, right.
I
What a
think
year.
it's it's uniquely 80s in a way that's adorable, but it's sort of like, all right. And again, that's that man-child thing. We're like less interested in seeing man-children running around. And this is and again,
today's world.
right, exactly, because they're fucking running the government. but the fact that you get one person that has like a reckoning and like a soliloquy really that's genius that goes on that, to have that undercut by the ending for me is sort of like, well, I still love it. I think it's great, but it's quintessentially a badass 4-star movie for me because of that. Like
They're rebooting it. Did
That-
you know this?
bums me
What?
out.
Yeah, and I was like,
Do
yeah,
they
I
know
do,
who's
but I don't know. For you, maybe some of the things you're saying are
could be
already being
fixed,
taken
but
into account. You know what I mean? They could.
I mean,
I
Cody,
don't
you
know.
always say, they should remake films that didn't quite hit the mark.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think this. So what I'm saying is, as much as I have problems with the ending, I think it did hit the mark. I just think it could have been more if it had been ended differently. And I know the reasons why, but also like it's weirdly horny, like Corey Feldman's character, like like checking out like the neighbor's ass and stuff like that. You can't. There's no way that would happen. Like, and it's
Such a staple of 80s teen movies with the teenage boy,
Sure.
peeking in to see the girl or the woman, topless and whatever the hell.
Yeah, because the joke is Wendy Schall is hot. Okay, well, we all agree, but like maybe don't be a pervert, also.
Yeah.
But then, there's a lot of things that I don't know.
Imagine Tom Hanks as the Bruce Dern character in the remake.
Well, that'd be great. But
Yeah.
so they did it as a period piece. Like if they did it in the 80s, that'd be awesome. But I feel like the satanic panic, especially in the late 80s and like into the early 90s, like it was so pervasive and monoculture, like impossible to contend with, that that is something that's like, oh yeah, that's funny. But it's like, no, that was everywhere.
It ruined people's lives, Conan. Like there a lot of daycare workers, particularly men, were sentenced to prison for God knows how many years, and they finally got released, and then they all ended up like tragic endings of like death. And it's like when I was looking into that, because I like looking into those panics and epidemics of like this weird like psychosis or whatnot, it was just so much bullshit. Like none of it was real.
And this was the thumb and eye of that, right?
Yeah.
Because
I think well, no, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say because even if it's like, oh no, they are doing evil, it's like, yeah, but they're not doing Satanism. They're just like,
right.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, when I was a kid, the storyline that the neighbors were probably doing something like murderous was so not weird to me. Like it was, yeah, of course, that's the storyline. Like this is what I expect from my pop culture right now. You know what I mean? And even though they take time in the movie to talk about Nap, the previous neighbor who killed his family with ice pick, he ran the ice cream or the malt shop or whatever. Like, even though they talk about that, they kind of set that up and they say this shit does happen in real life and in this world. And they show you, what it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Exorcist. They show you these movies.
Yeah.
They're setting it up for you like this is a thing.
And there's the dream sequence too. You have the dream sequence where it's probably I was thinking about it, is that the first dream sequence to feature an homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where he ends up on the barbecue? Great, that's a great dream sequence. Amazing.
But they set it all up for you, and they make it okay for you to believe that to the point where. Yeah, I mean, okay. So like committing to that all the way through to the end is sort of a miss, but at the same time, I was glad, I was rooting for these guys to be right. And it's like I feel like a little kid every time I watch this. Like I was watching it with my wife the other night. She's like, "How can you laugh nonstop at this?" And I was like, "Because I'm back with my friends. We don't even have the movie on, and we're just sitting around quoting it. You know what I mean? Like that's so. This movie is like unique to me in that I can relive the original experience every time I watch it, and I excuse all the stuff. But it's funny that they're like, yeah, here's all the murder movies, here's all the horror movies that you should be thinking about while you're watching this, and it's not misleading or foreshadowing. It's a cartoon. I guess.
Yeah, it's funny because of Go ahead, Forrest.
No, what do you guys think about the fact that it's Slavic neighbors? And like,
apparently they weren't. Remember, he says, "Is that Slavic?" And he goes, "No."
Oh,
he's like, that's about a 9 on the tension scale.
Like it's like Eastern European kind of
vaguely Eastern European, sure.
Because,
they are European. That's all the question.
He was talking about the fact that this movie would absolutely not have worked if it's like black neighbors, but that's kind of what he was going for in the sense of like people that are different moving to your neighborhood. You know what I mean? And like the classic suburban thing where it's like when people of a different ethnicity move to your neighborhood, and things get like weird because of that.
Yeah, when he was, he said, "Oh, Christian name. You know, it's like implying that, you know, you sound like maybe you're safe, but I'm suspicious all the same. No, I think that there's, you know, I guess they could have played up the fear of the other more, but it's definitely, you know, they have boring lives. I always looked at it like they were just going to be suspicious of whoever lived next door, especially if they didn't come out. And that's just kind of like, isn't it sort of a recurring joke even? Like how they keep saying, is that Slavic?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that,
I mean, it's played
like
for
to them.
because at the time, there was like you can make fun of Slavs and Greeks, and that was about it, right? And,
Oh,
like,
okay.
anything else
So
was, like, loaded.
it wasn't that Slavic was the most far away thing they could imagine.
Well, and think about the fact that, you know, there's a vaguely Eastern European, you know, goes all the way back to like Dracula and stuff. That there's something nefarious about someone with that sort of accent to American ears and American audiences. Obviously, not to people that actually lived in those countries. But I think the idea was, and again, it doesn't have to make sense because the idea is, you know, ultimately they're right for the wrong reasons. Right. And if you leaned a little more into that, I think that it makes for a stronger movie. But I mean, but it is what it is, and like it's still great. And like honestly, like the fact that for comedic effect, that all the neighbors are like, you know, they're played for laughs in a way that it's like, oh yeah, they're, you know, there's obviously something, you know,
evil.
That's not normal about the Klopeks, you know. Hans especially has that, like, just you know, what does he say? You know, something Pinocchio or something along those lines. We're like, all right, you know, it's good. It's a good line.
Yeah. It's interesting that this kind of mocks that satanic panic because it always feels like we never get rid of it. There's always something new to panic about, especially when we're trying to accept different people. Like, I think part of the satanic panic against, like, you know, the daycare workers in general was just, you know, the fact that there were like gay and lesbian daycare workers, and it was, you know, post sexual revolution and trying to accept LGBTQ plus people. Then you got, you know, the more majority coming in, and people are just, and the anxiety about women being in the workforce, leaving their kids. Like, that was another part of it too. And I think this film really does a good job at mocking that, especially with the suburban aspect of it all.
Which, and again, just to establish context, because, you know, I was alive at this time, I was young, but like it was everywhere, and that just wasn't done. That wasn't done in popular culture. Let's like think back. There wasn't like a Family Guy. There wasn't like, you know, an SNL taking on like these type of things. I mean, there was SNL, but it wasn't taking on this kind of thing. In the monoculture, it went unanswered. And if you were in the underground, if you were like someone that was like, you know, loved the films of John Waters or David Cronenberg or something, it sucked, but you had no way to answer it. You didn't have a Twitter. You didn't have like a Blue Sky or whatever. You didn't have the ability to answer it. And it's I know people get bummed out when I rattle on about this, but none of that was there. None of it. And like it's impossible to overstate how helpless that made you feel. So if you see any kind of representation of like just sticking in the eye of these like religious zealots and moral majority people, like it was huge. It was like get them, get their ass, you know.
And you know, and Conan, we were talking about, you know, 90s daytime talk show hosts. What were they? Who were they having on? Satanists and people who were LGBTQ plus.
They say Geraldo is coming to the neighborhood at the end of this movie. They're like, Geraldo's coming. He's going to excavate the basement.
Which is he was the precursor of, which of course Jerry Springer like later completely turned on his head and kind of turned into like a parody beyond a parody. But I mean, it started off as, you know, like, I'll give him credit where credit's due, and his politics are generally pretty good, and he's done wrong by history. Phil Donahue platformed a lot of those people, and it was to get ratings. And then he definitely had his like, okay, but I'm going to stop here, and like we're not going to go any further. And then other people, you had like, oh god,
you had people who would have like Ku Klux Klan members on a panel with like black people, and I'm like,
well, and there's people that are forgotten to history, like Morton Downey Jr. and stuff like that are operating around this time that that basically pioneered what many years later became known as trash TV. Right. Mm-hmm. And the idea was that like these are shameless hucksters. These are P.T. Barnum like a-holes that shouldn't be trusted seriously. And then that became something that was like, oh no, this is good entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Well, You know, and like now it's everywhere, right? But it's hard to overstate how much it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so you see someone like a satirist like Joe Dante, right? Yeah. And like who's like taking this story and like sort of like showing like a cracked mirror to America, which he does a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it hits all the harder.
Yeah, because Cody, you well know what was all satanic panic in the 90s was like, you know, metal music, rap and hip hop, video games, violence and video games. Like it never ends. There's always something new. And the fact that people fall for it every cycle, I'm like, guys, you do realize that this dates back to like Salem, even before that. I'm like, you guys, you're falling for it, like falling for it again award.
And it's very political. I mean, the PMRC established, Tipper Gore, by the way, established in 85. People forget, Mike Love was one of the chief founders, the financial helps for that, as well as the Coors family, the famous, just ridiculously regressive beer magnates.
This is why we hate Mike Love and prefer Brian Wilson.
It's not the only reason why, but it's definitely, there's a lot of reasons, really. But people forget, like, remember, Mike Love, he gets a bad rap. Really? The PMRC that he literally funded? Huh? Nothing? Okay. You know, never forget. Hashtag never forget. Hashtag always remember. But
yeah,
I
think they go straight for the, like when he's reading from the book, right? They have a book that it's like, but you're looking at this like it's some sort of a history book. Like this can only be fiction, right? Like exactly. it was really weird to me the way they were like, we have a book. We're going to learn all about Satanism from here. That to me, again, it just felt like it was too heightened to be taken serious. But that is probably how people should have looked at the Satanic Panic in general. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is absurd. What are you going off of? You're just making this up as you go.
And now, like, anybody with like an iota of critical thinking knows that. But that was not a thing that was like the general populace knew that. You knew that if you were like a rocker or like a comic artist or a comedian or something along those lines. If you're a creative person, but again, can't overstate like how different monoculture was around that time. And that until Clinton came in, you know, as much as like there's plenty to say about Clinton, culturally, like that was there. And it was like family values.
Yeah, capitulating to the right.
Yeah. And again, it all comes from a perspective of tying in with this idealized version of the 50s and prosperity gospel and all that stuff. By the way, here's me advocating yet again for prosperity gospel. Not advocating for it, but bringing it up on this movie show. But I think you need to understand that to understand the context of what the Burbs was kind of sticking a thumb in the eye of. Which is to say that, like, hey, what if, you know, none of that stuff was like right at all, but you were so certain of it that you basically committed atrocities in your neighborhood. Low-grade atrocities, but atrocities nonetheless. You know, a lot of property damage in this film.
Did any of this stuff I always wanted it to be a cartoon. Like, you know how they were making cartoons out of like everything, right? Ghostbusters, Teen Wolf, all that stuff. Like this would have been great. If they had done like some sort of a sequel or something. There was actually one family on the block who lived between Rumsfield and Walter, and they show them like at the very end. They were like a plumber or something like that. And sometimes they show the kid riding his bike around, but like they don't introduce that family. Like that would have been really fun to see the entire thing just from their perspective, right?
Get their Disney Plus streaming series prequel.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would watch that. But like, did any of the super cartoony stuff like take you out of it? Like, remember where
I just said that Bruce Dern like falling off the roof that would potentially cripple him if it was real life.
Well,
like,
what about
my
like
ass off? Great.
He's electrocuted and he gets the black fingernails and his shirt's ripped up, and in the next scene his shirt's fine again, and
then the gag is called back when he like has they try to open the door with the credit card and his wallet's fried.
Yeah. It's hilarious. It's so good. That was the first time I ever heard somebody do that shtick where he's setting up the ladder and he's talking to the Peterson's son and Corey Feldman's character, and he's going, "Oh no, I got it, guys. No, it's fine. No, I'll get it. No, I don't need any help." And I had never heard that before. Like that was the origin of that routine for me at an impressionable age, and I just did that for the rest of my life. But anyway, I think awesome. I think the there have been more serious takes on Satanic Panic, even just lately. Like speaking of comic books, Houses of the Unholy by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips is a really, really good look at the it is a period piece from the 80s. It's a really good look at how that stuff just went way too far and how adults would like convince kids of things that didn't happen, and they would believe it because they were impressionable, because they were at a young age.
And
I think the cartoony aspects of this make it, I don't know, more accessible for me though.
I agree.
More
yeah.
Well, I think as long as you realize it is a period piece. Go ahead, Kristina.
Yeah. And fun fact, this is why they finally let all the adults in Sesame Street, all the humans, see Snuffleupagus for the first time because they wanted to show that kids actually can be believed and not be manipulated. That was the whole point. Yeah, that's why they finally introduced him after God knows how many years, because they didn't believe him. They kept gaslighting him like he's just your imaginary friend. He's not real.
That. But that's why are you saying because of satanic panic is why they did that?
They wanted to do a thing where it's like adults should not be gaslighting kids into believing things that actually aren't real, but there are things that are real that they can see. Like there are, back in the 80s, there was actually child molestation happening. But it was coming from inside the house, it wasn't coming from stranger dangers or caretaker work or daycare workers.
Well, and I mean, I think that's, again, it's hard to, everything exists in a continuity, right? It exists in its own time period and exists in its own, and I've seen this a few times over the years, and I saw it in the 90s, I saw it in the 2000s, and it all still worked for me. And largely, I agree, because it was very funny. And you have things like Dick Miller, who's in every Joe Dante movie. He's like one of the garbage. Oh, the garbage scene is amazing, where there's leaping into the garbage truck to dig through it. Incredible. Complete, unhinged, degenerate activity. Right?
And the dialogue that it's city property the second it's in, when it leaves the curb, it becomes city property. It's so hilarious. It's
so good. It's just such a good scene because it's examining. And again, the reason why that's funny too is because at the time it was considered sort of notable and weird that people were paparazzi were digging in people's trash, right? And that's a thing that now it's like, well, that's just a thing that happens. That's the nature of being a celebrity, right? But it was still considered crazy at the time. Yeah. So you get to have again, every Joe Dante movie has at least a small Dick Miller role. He's one of the garbage men here, and that exchange is fucking funny because it's a meta commentary on what's happening, and it's a meta commentary on what's happening on screen, what's happening in culture right now, and it's your first indication that's going to be a little bit over the top.
Yeah, and the one thing that's funny too is that we learned about satanic panics in school because we all read The Crucible. We learned about the Salem witch trials. You think that we would, I feel like maybe millennials are smarter, maybe, I don't know, or even Gen Z at this point because we learned about this stuff. But that's another one that I think about all the time. Forrest, I think your earbuds are in because you sound a little off.
You're tin canning a little bit.
Yeah,
which is ironic because that's so they would try and get that garbage. Am I right? Hey,
you see, Norman movie has a cameo from Dick Miller too. Rewatching Little Shop of Horrors even.
Yeah. I mean, Dick Miller was that was one of Joe Dante's guy. Every Joe Dante movie, even if it was a small role, it was and actually, one of the things that Sam Raimi said about putting Bruce Campbell in his cameos was just inspired by that same thing. I'm just just find a spot for him. He's the hot dog vendor here. He's gonna have
I was rewatching Gremlins, and he's just he's like the drunk neighbor that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like Gremlin. Yeah.
I can't believe we've never done it because honestly, I think I've seen Gremlins so much, and I think it's actually gotten better over the years. It's still a product of its age, but wow, what a deeply entertaining. We talked about it when we did Adventure, right? Just the 80s adventure movie and how that really became a thing and so on and so on. But there's a whole subgenre of, that's Gremlins spawned off, most of which are not as good.
Critters is pretty good though, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but they're all basically
they're evil
children of it's let's do the Gremlins without the Mogwai, right? And let's do it with and it's weird because what Joe Dante has done in his other movies too has been so internalized that even if you see something like Inner Space, right, which is still honestly like fairly unhinged. I watched it somewhat recently with a Dennis Quaid, a young Dennis Quaid. You could have a like, you know, Paramount Plus streaming show that's like based on like the idea of that now, and people like wouldn't even like look at it twice. But this was back in 1987. Right, and like Matinee '93, you have like this, you know, meta contextual, like everyone loves like movies about the movies, but like, you know, taking place in the Cuban Missile Crisis and having like, you know, an examination of why kitsch matters and why Roger Corman, as mentioned, who gave Joe Dante along with many other filmmakers a start, was so important, even though like the product they put out was usually pretty bad.
Yeah. By the way, you know how we were talking about the 1988
Steven Spielberg
writers?
too, another Roger Corman.
You know how we were talking about we were talking, and I was about to say this, and then I lost. You know, I had the rainstorm outside. But so movies that were shot during the 1988 writers' strike, that were going on at the same time. Child's Play, the first Chucky movie. They lost one of their writers. They lost like their main writer because of that. License to Kill, the last movie with the last James Bond movie that had Timothy Dalton as
that guy
as James Bond. Yeah.
Batman,
the Tim Burton one.
Which is one of the best in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. And Halloween 4. I guess was like the last movie that they were able to shoot before the strike started. They said that it was. They said it was a TV show because this whole movie, The Burbs, is just shot on the Universal lot, which is really funny, and that's why it feels so almost like nostalgic. Their neighborhood,
it's a
like
lot
classic,
movie, right? Totally, totally. And like it has that feel of just like, you know, their version of small town America. You know, and it's sort of like, well, it doesn't exist. It's like it's a stage, which is just like the Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, kind of like adds to the charm of just being like something's artificial about this somehow, right?
Yeah, and you can see there are times like when they're on the roof. I guess it could be like a backdrop or a matte painting, but I feel like that's just the rest of the studio. You know what I mean? Like, like it's a real giveaway. Like, oh wow, what is those buildings? That doesn't seem. It's not scenic. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like, you know, a Hollywood movie. It looks like real life, like in a bad way.
Right.
But yeah, I think that I think first of all, that 1989 Batman is amazing. To have this,
right, exactly. We didn't know how good we had it.
It's great
to have this and Batman in the same year, amazing. But and we didn't know how good we had it for sure. This movie to me is the scene in the living room where this is why I think The Burbs should be at least mentioned in film study, right? Maybe not like a semester dedicated to it, but it should at least be mentioned that when they meet the Klopeks, when they basically just barge into the house, they're like, is there
like
they just walk in.
No warning
around.
or warrant, just like, we're just going to run in here. Okay.
Real nosy. Like, we brought brownies, so of course we're coming in. And I mean,
they drop, by the way.
Yeah, and you can't overlook, like...
And then still try to hand it to them, covered in dirt.
3 times where they step in a hole in the porch, and it is hilarious every time. I don't know how they get away with a gag like that, but they did.
So
but then
silly.
when they're in the house, that scene itself has an entire arc. They're all very weird when they go in there. There's a climax, and there's a new normal at the end. The whole scene, and like all this new information comes out of that scene. You get a whole bunch of new insight from that. That one scene is so well edited and performed and just written that it blows me away that there was a strike going on, or that this was the kind of thing where they were like, oh, we're playing it up for laughs, you know, because it comes across as like just mastercraft to me. And it feels funny saying that about a movie like The Burbs, but like it's perfect. I mean, that scene is perfect. And Bruce Dern just walking around, just messing with shit. Apparently that was all improvised, but like the looks on his face at every turn kills me. Like when he bangs
Matt,
on
who had an arc? Noah.
Go on.
Every time someone mentions arc, I gotta do the Sopranos thing. Yeah, with Bruce Dern walking around, and then literally like losing it at different points, and his wife
Yeah.
having to like, Wendy Schall having to reel him in is some of the funniest. Like both wives in this are constantly like reeling in their husbands.
They're man-child
yeah.
husbands. Because this is the era of like that's okay, which is crazy because the only form of media that still somehow seems to be accepted is like the sitcom that has like the schlubby dude and like the supermodel wife, right? And that's the only like artifact of that time, which is.
I think it's funny too that the director. What would that be like for you if you created something and you're like, well, nobody liked it. I'll just go on with my life. Then you realize years later, oh my God, people love this.
Right.
I feel like I missed out on the glory of my.
I feel like that's a Joe Dante thing in general, though. Like, I mean, maybe not Gremlins, but like all of his movies, I feel like
the guy that did
even Gremlins was not a hit at the time. Like it was, it was a sleeper. It was a sleeper cult hit. Like it had legs. But he wasn't given a blank check for it. But when they eventually,
I remember toys and everything. That wasn't like an
eventually, but
hit.
that wasn't sudden. It wasn't an instant hit at all. No,
it was good. VHS. Wow. VHS, right?
Right. And so then that led them to be like, hey, we want you to make another one. He's like, really? And so that gave him the closest thing to a blank check, which he ever had, which is Gremlins 2, which is, again, goes. And is a perfect example of like why you should let a creative person just be creative. Because it's the only way. Because otherwise, like, how do you make, like, if they made a sequel to Gremlins today, it would be boring. It would suck, But like he upturned the entire genre on its head in a meta-contextual way. And it's but it's great. But it's interesting because Joe Dante never really had like a gigantic hit, right? Again, Gremlins in pop culture, it seemed like it would have been the biggest movie in the world, right?
Big 80s movie. Well,
And it was, but like it was a slow burn. It was a slow burn that was like, oh, I guess that's a success. And then they didn't want to give him credit for it.
No way. I look at Gremlins as like a mega hit. That's really weird, huh?
Time made it a mega hit.
Sure. Well, and like and everybody now says that Gremlins 2 is like one of the greatest. Quentin Tarantino even said like Gremlins 2 is one of the greatest sequels of all time, and he's right.
I got to go back and watch them back to back. It's been too
amazing.
long.
Well, there's such different movies.
The Godfather 2,
Aliens.
It's probably been
Shrek 2.
30 years since I watched.
Ooh, we should do a sequels month.
We'll only do sequels that like are
better
than the original one.
I got a whole list of them.
I mean, Evil Dead 2 is probably like the
Evil Dead 2, yeah.
It's interesting that Spielberg, right, was like the producer on Gremlins that actually he reached out to Joe Dante and was like, hey man, like, and he also, I think he visited the set and like helped on Inner Space too. But like when it came time to make Gremlins, he was like, yo, you're my boy, like you want to take a shot at this, I'll produce it, you direct it. And he actually had to convince Joe Dante like this is a project you should do with me. But he also rescued Joe Dante, his like second movie he ever made, obviously Piranha. He rescued it because Universal was going to shut it down and say that this movie can never be released because they were releasing Jaws 2 at the same time.
And they said it was too close, right? And so that was something which is crazy because it's like because they're both fish. Like what are we doing here, right?
So they saw that Jaws did so well, and the Corman thing was that he said, and
just close enough to avoid litigation.
But they were like, well, obviously people like watching fish eat people. Yeah. So we should make our own low budget version.
Look at Critters and Gremlins. Like Critters, I think came before Gremlins, if I'm not mistaken. They came around the same time. So like a lot of people were like comparing the two. I'm like, but they're
Critters did not come out at the same time as Gremlins. It came out afterward.
Afterwards.
I was gonna say you're totally revising the '80s for me. Like I don't know what I experienced anymore.
After Gremlins.
You're gonna tell me.
Sorry, I don't mean to
my critics.
He actually didn't know though. He actually didn't know till later that Spielberg had rescued Piranha. And Spielberg later was like, "Hey man, I talked to Universal. Universal is going to shut you down." And you wouldn't have had like your first big hit, but with John Sayles, who did Madawan, wrote the Piranha script. And Spielberg later on was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, like I let Piranhas happen because they were gonna hit Corman was so and lost. Like Corman wasn't going to be able to have any kind of loss. Like if a lawsuit happened, your movie's shut down. And he also
wrote
made
Madawan?
Avalanche. John Sayles.
So, two things. Spielberg also suggested Stripe and Gizmo be different characters because originally they were the same one. So good on him. But he also said that when he looked at the first cut, he said that the first cut had too many gremlins, and he was suggesting cutting some of them out. And then Joe Dante is like, yeah, but let's call the movie People instead, which I think is great.
Oh, that's hilarious. Good
Okay,
move.
a little more into this, the Burbs sequel for Peacock. Keke Palmer's headlined the series with Brian Grazer and Seth MacFarlane producing.
Okay.
Seth MacFarlane is a huge fan. He got
a big Joe Dante fan I think.
Yeah, I mean that's totally a sensibility because that's like now I feel like there's a whole generation of filmmakers.
Look at Ted.
That are
Wendy Schall is the voice of what's that? The American Dad. She's the voice of the mom on American Dad.
Yeah, Francine or whatever.
That's
yeah,
right.
And he hired her because he's a fan of the Burbs. That's
the Burbs.
But anyway, I'm glad he's involved.
You see like Wendy Schall now, and like she's still like she's still like pretty and everything. But it's crazy to like think she was like she was like
she's
a
also like
bombshell
70. I mean, like Jesus Christ, like got her some slack. But
she does a lot of
no, but I'm saying
right?
like. But I feel like I feel like her acting style, like her, the kind of roles I've seen her in are a lot different, like her later roles than this, where it's like, I don't know, but you get that with even like older 50s movies where they had like Cloris Leachman originally was like a bombshell.
Yeah.
And they had her as like
pretty crazy, Yeah, but
a lot of very funny actresses. I feel like started out as like bombshells, and then as they got like a little bit older, and like that wasn't the role they could play anymore. They're like, okay, we're gonna have you be funny.
Yeah,
right now we'll let you be funny. Yeah, exactly.
But you guys pointed something about Tom Hanks doing like not dying. I'm like, because he's known for playing survivors in his movies. It seems like I could think of like you probably list like 10 movies where he overcomes a major challenge that he lives through.
Well, you can't kill. Yeah, you can't kill Tom Hanks.
Definitely a great genre movie. It's like still to this day, one of the better werewolf movies, I think. And I think they shouldn't have made a single sequel ever.
Oh God,
it's fascinating. It's fascinating to me that Tom Hanks as like America's Dad, right? Like that's like the that's like the thing that they gave him as like a title, like Tom Hanks, America's Dad, pretty much. Like it's fascinating to me that like you can't like it would traumatize audiences if Tom Hanks died in a movie. Like
that was his last movie when he finally dies in one.
Yeah, he was freaked out. Yeah. He was freaked out in this movie. He fought against being a dad because he was afraid he would be typecast for forever. And I think that's hilarious.
Was he like 30 that might have been something like early 30s?
Well, it's not even 1990 yet. He was still like trying to.
He wasn't hitting those big blockbusters yet.
Yeah.
Well, he was because Big. This was 1 year after Big. Yeah. He had just won the Oscar. He got cast.
Was indeed Big.
Won the Oscar for Big. And
that's actually kind of. I can't
he becomes
that role.
Yeah, I can't either. I learned that when I was doing research for this. But I remember watching Big when I was. I remember watching Big
up that year
when I was very small and thinking it was like the funniest movie.
Well, because before that, like, okay, you have stuff like like the Money Pit, okay, pretty good. Was an ill-conceived reboot of Dragnet with Dan Aykroyd, which is not that great. It's not that great. Yeah. But it was sort of like he was known as like, oh yeah, he's talented, but like he doesn't have star power. And then post Big, it was right. So that exactly, Bosom Buddies, perfect example.
Remember, he was the alcoholic uncle on Family Ties.
That's
He was. It was a very serious role. He was like raiding their pantry for vanilla extract in the middle of the night because he was so fiending.
Well, just to finish that point, like then you have Bonfire of the Vanities, you have League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, and
there's no crying baseball, Conan.
I know, right? And then of course Philadelphia, which is sort of like, okay, this guy's like unstoppable. And
that was a great one.
Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, etc. And then then that's a Tom Hanks we know where it's like he's like an unstoppable force, basically.
Well, so like five years after this, right? Like they would have never cast him in something like The Burbs. Like you know what I mean? Like
exactly, they couldn't.
Good call. Right. Totally.
By the way, I forgot to mention Saving Private Ryan and that in that crazy '90s run, which is like insane.
Yeah,
like that would be like,
Castaway.
I forgot about that one. Castaway technically is 2000s.
Yeah. They still play. They still play. When I was in 10th grade, they played when we were learning about, or 11th grade, whatever. When we were learning about World War II, like in a class or whatever, like that's when they played Saving Private Ryan.
And we also watched Forrest Gump too, because we used to have end of course testing. It wasn't like pack testing or like exams. It was like a 3-hour. They made 3-hour blocks of classes. So every time my history class was like a 3-hour class, we watched Forrest Gump, and I'm like, again, really, Coach Vincent? Again? Okay, fine, whatever.
I just
remember
watching
the boy in my pajamas.
I just remember they were trying to teach us about storming the beaches at Normandy, and they were like, this is how it happened, and they turned on Saving Private Ryan.
But this is how we'll teach you.
Right.
That's funny. And after that they did Band of Brothers. Like, didn't Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg produce Band of Brothers?
Yeah,
I think they did.
Band of Brothers, and he was even involved, like, because then he had a short period where he became known as like a good narrator too. So he was like narrating stuff also.
Yeah.
Him as Mr. Rogers.
Well,
he didn't have the soft
Polar Express
voice.
Right? Like Polar Express, that was like a decade after Saving Private Ryan. But that's like his passion project where he played pretty much every role in Polar Express. And he's like a conductor.
I made an A on that.
Yeah, that's
and then they had him in all the
shitty
Dan Brown movies.
He would not have been. Oh right, yeah, but he would not have been able to pull off the Burbs. He wouldn't have even done it. Like he would. That's interesting to think about. See, that's why I like this show. You guys.
Because we know enough crazy random stuff about movies that occasionally even a blind chicken fights a kernel of corn now and again.
But I wonder how often you guys think of like, he would.
I'm an accredited critic, sir. How dare you? That was me making the insult, by the way.
Another thing that really makes this movie work, I think, at the center of it, right? I mean, obviously Tom Hanks, but Tom Hanks didn't like Rick Ducommun. They did not get along.
That's
for some reason.
Getting along with him.
I can't even imagine.
How can you imagine not getting along with Tom Hanks? Like, it seemed like he's like easy go.
It was Tom Hanks that didn't like him. I don't think it was the other way around. Something about him. They said something about him just kept rubbing Tom Hanks the wrong way, which I can't even imagine. Like Tom Hanks is such at least like in interviews and stuff, he's such like an amiable, like nice guy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a disagreeable guy. Yeah, he's not like Klaus Kinski or something, right?
But they said something about Rick Ducommun just rubbed him the wrong way on set, and so they were like, listen, since you're already improving everything for this movie, like use that feeling to make this movie work.
Make the performance
he really
better.
Does. Like literally, like you could see the annoyance on his face when Rick Ducommun, as Art, like as he wakes him up and he has the femur and everything, and he's getting angrier and angrier, and it's like when you realize like, oh no, that's like he's really channeling that he does not want to be working with this guy.
Well, I wanted to ask earlier what everybody thought of Art, the character of Art,
because he's annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known some Arts in my life. At least a couple.
Well, I think it's Art's world now. We're just living in it, you know.
But I thought he's like, he had some very, like, he's hilarious, right?
Yes.
He's also super annoying.
Yep.
It's hard not to see his humor as a redeeming quality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and like the part with the femur where he's like, what do you think? This thing came off a chicken? It's like, that is one of the funniest
great line
things he could have said. But also, like, Ray is like, how do you know that? And he goes, biology 101. And he doesn't skip a beat. He's just going. It's like, he's not a complete buffoon. What's he trying to do? He's trying to get Ray to live, right? He's like,
you know, but live by taking a vacation in his own freaking neighborhood, which is like, they were talking about really like what drew Joe Dante into the studio into taking this project. And a big part of it was the joke, like the joke premise that this is a guy who goes on vacation in his own neighborhood, essentially. And they're like, no, that's pretty funny. Like,
today we call staycations, right? But like, back then.
Gonna Netflix and chill for like a week. That sounds
he's like, I'm gonna drink 200 beers. I'm gonna smoke a cigar, not in the house.
I had a neighbor who swore he saw lights in the sky. You know what I mean? Like he was always sitting on his porch smoking cigars. And I said, well, next time you see him, call me. And here I am being the straight man in this routine, right? Like that's not common. And he called me one night and was like, they're back. And I was like, okay, I'll be right there. And I'm like putting my coat on. And my wife's like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to go look at lights in the sky down the street. Yeah. You know what I mean? 2 doors down, which it just feels like the Burbs to me. And it wasn't, it was like
some ill-advised side quest misadventure.
Yeah, exactly.
That adults should know better not to be involved with. Yeah.
But like that guy was tolerable because he had this sense of wonder and imagination and he was letting himself believe.
Yeah.
But what did you think of art, Conan?
I mean, I think narratively serves like a purpose, right? He's the equivalent of an inciting incident at every given point. He's taking them on, moving everyone forward, right? I think the character is annoying, but just he's not quite annoying enough to be a complete caricature, but he's definitely like again, you mentioned we've all known people like that, where it's like, oh, here he is, okay, and it's usually a dude, right? Yeah, and I guess because of that, it's relatable. Because think about like who's in the suburbs, you know, mediocre people. Sorry, people that are artless, that are not. They don't value art. If you valued art, you wouldn't be in the suburbs, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to be reductive.
Like art,
not art, like not the character art, but like actual art, music and painting and comic books and movies.
We value Rick Ducommun's art, and that's why.
Which it doesn't make you a bad. But the thing is, that also doesn't make you a bad person. It just doesn't mean that you're a creative individual. And unfortunately, what our culture has said is that everybody's a creative individual. Not true.
Yeah.
Not true, and people should not be trying.
I cannot write a poem to save my life, Conan. I swear to God.
I mean, it's
my mom did them for me.
Right? Well, sure. I mean, but like also like the idea that anybody can now be an expert at everything. Like, I think that's actually damaging to people's psyche, and I think it makes people feel like they're not doing what they should be doing when there should never be that pressure, and there didn't used to be a pressure. There didn't used to be a pressure to be creative. And again, now because creativity is content, right? Content is not art. Content is something else entirely. And art should never, again, art, the concept of art, not the character of art, should be considered content in my world. But we're all being pushed towards like everybody should be creating something. No, untrue.
Not everyone.
Not everyone. Not
AI.
most people.
AI,
not most
Conan.
people. Yeah, AI will take care of it. Exactly. Don't worry. But that's the thing is that we were dealing with. Remember, this is a different culture, a different time. That there's plenty of people like these guys that were just, like Bruce Dern's character. He's a military dude. He's got it like a too hot wife and like has a lot of like trauma from presumably Vietnam. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's just a guy. That's a character. And
he was he was in the bush one time for 18 months.
Sure. And isn't to say that he doesn't have like something to contribute creatively, but the expectation now is that everyone does. Everyone has. We have these shows, these like America's Got Talent and stuff. America does not have talent. Have you seen America? America does not have talent at all.
Yeah, that's why they got Britain's Got Talent instead. But then again, maybe the Brits don't have talent either. So
nobody does. It's there. Nothing matters if we elevate the mundane. And what we've done in these social media sites is elevate the most mundane, like unimportant things and put it at the same volume level and the same interest level as actual great works of art. And it's one of the most damaging things we've done culturally that it may be irreversible at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way of the Neutron. NeutronFriends.bandcamp.com. Pick it up.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. But I think about this in my own life a lot. Like boredom is one of the most destructive forces to human nature, right? Like that and like if you're just kind of bored, like you start picking at something and you can't stop, like you're and even if it's fully destructive, it's like, well, I'm so damn bored that like I'm gonna keep picking at whatever this is until I get to like the center of it, and you start like inventing, like there is a certain psychosis that goes along with that, and this movie like perfectly captures that level of psychosis, right? Like
this, you hit on a point I was thinking about last night, that this movie crazily very much depicts lockdown life, right? Like think about like COVID lockdown, where people were just getting like just insanely like super hyper focused, interested in the craziest stuff to the point of like derangement.
Bread.
Yeah.
Well, it was like
baking bread's the nice side of that. Yeah.
They couldn't handle being at home for 2 weeks. They're like, I want to go get my nails done. I want to go back to work.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It
bitch,
wasn't-
when's the last time you took 2 weeks off? Enjoyed. Okay, I watched all It's Only Sunny in Philadelphia, all 50 seasons up to that point. It was fine. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even a literal lockdown, and people lost their shit immediately, and proved that they couldn't even do something that if you just toughed it out, the greater good, right? But anyway,
repaint your house. My God, forgot.
It's very much reminded me of just like in a way that, again, this was played for more comedic effect, right? More exaggerated, but it's like, no, this is like what people were going through for the lockdown, which is just drawing crazy conclusions, the wrong kind of curiosity.
Well, and the only people you're really able to see during the lockdown, right, is like your neighbors or like the people around you. And if the people around you are equally feeling that destructive, feeling that bored, and if you just have the wrong kinds of people around you, you get drawn into some shit that you don't really want to. Like that's what this movie kind of feels like they're constantly meeting each other outside, and it's like, oh, what have you found out about the new neighbors today? And it's like the force of the three people. I mean, the crazy Vietnam guy that reminds me of my friend Ariel's like a great uncle kind of guy that used to hang around, that was like a crazy vet guy that made us we had to empty out his storage unit one time, and there was all this crazy shit from like that he had collected in there. Like that kind of guy is the Bruce Dern character. And then there's the guy that can't even tell whether he's messing with people most of the time. Like Art, you can't tell if he's messing with.
Right.
Like,
is he just like really into this stuff, or is he just bored? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
does it matter?
Yeah.
And it's like a summer movie, right? Was it summer? I don't know. They keep putting jackets on like it's cold and it gets dark early. But anyway, it
in the north.
Yeah. So, but I think that I felt like he goes on vacation and immediately is bored, but kind of doesn't have much ambition to do anything about it, right? Like he's not motivated to alleviate his boredom, and so he'll just sort of like take whatever comes along. Mm-hmm. I do think one of the best parts is at the end when he's like, I am going to help you rebuild your house. I'll even do some of the work myself. I have a new set of tools. Like that's a recurring gag.
Because he mentioned the tools. He mentioned the tools in the beginning. He's like, have you seen my tools? He mentions it to someone else. He's like, I just got these tools. They're from Carol's dad left me these tools.
Which implies that everyone wants him to do more with his life than he is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Go do something productive. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
still never say what he does, but
he says like, I'll even fix the barbecue. I'll do that.
Right.
You have to believe that he's been saying he's going to fix the barbecue for like 4 years and hasn't.
What about the animated intro? Is that not the coolest? Like that blew me away. The Universal intro, where they, you know what I'm talking about? Where they show the logo and they zoom in on the Earth and they go all the way down. Like I haven't seen anything compared to that except for, I don't know, the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, probably, where they do it with the Paramount Mountain.
Yeah. A great zoom work all around. Like, honestly,
especially for the time, but
when the two of them are sitting there and like yelling, they're and then zooming in and out, in and out. It's like
I saw them do that on the Muppets one time. I feel like they copied that gag for the Muppets at one point.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm sure.
It's
it
a
was like,
great.
I'm pretty sure it was Kermit and Fozzie. Kermit and Fozzie went.
I thought Tom Hanks was doing Steve Martin a lot. Did you get that when he goes?
Sure.
He's like this, Carol.
Bring out the banjo.
This, when he does his shoulders thing.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that watching it, but now that you say that, I can totally see it.
There's just a couple of times, and like at the end when he's like, blown up. I don't know. Every now and then it was like I kept thinking
that's the kind of physical comedy, right? Like Steve Martin's kind of a master at physical comedy. And I feel like in this, Tom Hanks is kind of channeling that physical comedy part of it, because it is really funny when he blows up and he just walks out and his eyes like, he's got the huge eye and like.
Was he saying, "Take me to the hospital"? I've been exploded or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
like
great.
I've been blown up. I'm sick.
As someone who growing up, like Toy Story was one of my favorite movies. Like that, I feel like that's another movie where
too.
Tom Hanks does the voice throughout this, and I like that just brings back such like nostalgia, like pure nostalgia for me. When Tom Hanks yells at somebody and he's like, "Carol," and he does like the thing that Woody does every time he's yelling at Buzz.
And there are so many lines in this movie that I don't think are supposed to be funny. That just land so hilarious. Like in the ambulance when she's like, I'll find out where they're taking you and just follow, okay, Ray? And he's like, okay, Carol. And she's like, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm fine, Carol. I thought that just because he's obviously not.
It's completely
like,
not
I just think that's one of the funniest things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the unintentional hilarity is that's what makes it a black comedy, right? And that's, you know, if we were to say, hey, what's your favorite genre, Conan, Neutron, it's black comedy, really. Which is to say, like, deeply satirical, dark, you know.
So this movie, not a horror movie, not a thriller.
Well, yeah, and I've heard people that say, like, they wish it leaned more into the horror aspect or more into the comedy aspect. And it's like, yeah, okay, but, like, there's definitely a lane for stuff that's kind of right down the middle like that. And I think it's a good lane, personally.
Do you wish they had left the neighborhood ever?
Why?
Why would you bother? Again, you got.
Why would you ever leave the neighborhood? You know?
Well, it's called the Burbs, and they only live on. They only show the street.
This one cul-de-sac, right? Yeah, I mean,
Burbs.
I think that adds to the almost like Twilight Zone nature of it.
Yeah.
And ironically, Joe Dante directed one of the episodes of the 80s Twilight Zone movie. But and then again, you have the audience proxy and the Corey Feldman character, who's also Bart Simpson.
He's just having a blast.
He's having a good time.
He's
having a good time.
I love that character. Corey Feldman would, if it's my thing. Every time I think of him or see him in something, I think if he would just not try to direct himself, if he would just allow other people to give him direction, he would be so cool. Like, look, you see him all over TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and it's just sort of it's never not cringe to me. But
he's the worst.
Then I see him in an interview, and I'm like, he's a really normal person. He just has an idea of what's cool that isn't. And like if he would allow people to just sort of like take the reins, it's not fair to expect somebody to turn their life over to someone like that. But if he would, it'd be a totally different situation.
He needs a good handler.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
Yes,
that's the word.
Absolutely.
Because I'll hear him in an interview like today, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's very articulate. He just sounds down to earth and normal, but he's not. I mean, he's totally not. Anyway, I think The Burbs was his last, like, and he had just come off of, what was it, Dream a Little Dream? He did some really bad stuff.
Yeah, let's see. So
he had just done that movie, I think. And then there was like License to Drive.
Stand By Me is 86.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, he worked with Dante already with Gremlins. And then you have Goonies, you have Lost Boys.
The jump between him and Gremlins as like a kid, and then by the end of the 80s, he's like a
two Corys.
He's grown Corey Feldman like by this movie.
He was in Friday the 13th, the final.
But you also gotta realize, Corey Feldman, you gotta give him credit for talking about pedophilia in Hollywood, but now it's gone crazy. People have so much conspiracies about it. But he will not say anything bad about Michael Jackson. But notice who he transformed himself into as he got older. Michael Jackson.
Yeah, he dresses and looks.
Performance. Like what the fuck was that?
Right.
I don't know. It's like you get like abused a little bit by somebody, and then you there's psychological stuff that I don't want to delve into with Corey Feldman.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit about it. Just angels and like.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's a fucking bummer, frankly, to put it bluntly. Where it's like, we've somehow managed to not talk about it. When we've covered other movies, he's in. Let's continue that trend.
He really did his job in this, though, and this again, everyone delivered. I think everyone nailed it, and him especially. Like he did a really solid performance in this, representing the audience, and every moment where I sat up and went, wow, they would just cut to him and his friends doing the exact same thing. It was so good. It was
Well,
really
and it's a great thing where you see Bruce Dune's character is like, get this guy out of here. He's a lame-o. It's like, yeah, get out of here, lame-o. That's
this guy out of your yard.
It's awesome. That's a great.
Well, there's also there's a feeling that he's going to transform into one of the either the Bruce Dern kind of guy or Art or because he's too far gone into the suburbs. He's
never
born and raised in the suburbs. Yeah.
He was born into it, shaped by it.
I just love the way
I was made by the suburbs. Molded. You're a visitor
to the Burbs.
It's like when he's talking to his girlfriend.
Easiest impression to do ever, by the way.
Yeah. Who was it?
I didn't see the city till I was but 14.
Who does that impression? Who does that impression all the time?
Everybody on this show but Kristina.
Wait, what? You mean like a Bane, like Tom Hardy Bane impression?
Bane? Like everybody does that impression.
I've done Bane before. What the fuck?
I forget. Somebody does that on a regular.
Also, it kind of sounds like Sean Connery, like Craig Ferguson doing Sean Connery. Not gonna lie, a little bit.
I was made by Sean Connery, molded by.
The Burbs are your ally. You merely adopted the Burbs.
Pendulous Dragon brings up Road to Perdition, which I have to let everyone know is a comic book adaptation.
That's right, yeah.
And Road to Perdition is a remake of Lone Wolf and Cub, the famous Japanese manga from the 70s.
Oh, is it really? I like Lone Wolf and Cub. I've seen 3 of those movies.
Yeah,
by the way, I forgot that Corey Feldman was Donatello in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I forgot about that.
Oh, also, I thought that's why you were saying that.
Gorgeous Vanessa Marcel.
No.
Was Brenda Baird on General Hospital? The girl that Sonny always like.
But I think hold on, we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think he also was in 3, but not 2. Is that right? Am I remembering that wrong?
I think.
I don't know. That's
a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles lore. Yeah. Movies are not great, by the way, but I have them on VHS.
No, but that pizza though. Just kidding.
Secret of the Ooze is the name of that one. Yeah. So who's Donatello in that?
Secret.
Oh, Leif Tilden. Yeah.
Just so you know, the TMNT comic books are they're better than ever.
Yeah,
it's amazing stuff what they're doing with those books. It's incredible.
The movie that came out last year, I liked. I thought it was good. I thought it was it was like, oh, they're doing another pass at this, and the vibe on this is, it's different. It's not quite like the '90s cartoon was like. It's like, wow, it's amazing you made this so family friendly, considering what those comic books are like.
Was that the Seth Rogen one that just came out though?
I think so.
And the fact that there's
it really brings back
April O'Neil.
It really brings back memories.
Oh.
Wow.
That pizza does not look good. It should be thin crust.
But it was so, I just think,
the pizza's the pizza's you have. Okay.
Yeah, always.
The fact that they're eating in a sewer doesn't bother you, but that pizza. No,
the pizza they're in New York City, right? This shit has to be thin crust. Are you kidding me?
They do whatever the rat says to do. That's a little weird.
The rat's leading them when they live in a sewer. I think it's not even a top tier issue, but I hear you.
It kind of sucks the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles went extinct when they stopped doing the dollar pizza slices, dollar slices in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, well, the original creators are involved in the new comics. So,
oh, cool.
It's the most successful independent comic of all time. So it's really, so it's really nice that they're still involved. But I think just one more thing about Feldman. Anybody, because it's
David
really
Feldman?
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way you guys were saying Tom Hanks wouldn't have been able to. Or wouldn't have done this movie even a year later, right? Or a few months later, really. But people will probably not watch this, or maybe they will watch it for Feldman, but for the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? I think that maybe people would be like, ew, a Corey Feldman movie. I'm not watching that. But I don't know. Is there anything to that? Am I trying to do your thing of analyzing what actors' choices they would make incorrectly?
I mean, Corey Feldman's career kind of went downhill as soon as he started to be like this is how I feel about stuff. I will watch Roman Polanski films up until when he did The Thing. You know what I'm saying? I'll still watch Rosemary's Baby. I'll still watch Stand By Me because there's abuse allegations against Corey Feldman too, by the way. from other women.
But do you think there's like a reverse effect where people would not pay attention to Corey Feldman because of what came later? Whereas Tom Hanks, they'd be
I think
I'll watch anything he did.
People are gonna love Tom Hanks and watch a Tom Hanks film regardless of who else is in it. I think.
I think it's a testament to how good when stuff was good in the 80s that Corey Feldman was in, right? Like I think it's a testament to how like good a lot of that stuff and how warmly people feel about it, that they do still watch it and they do go, yeah, it's sad to think about Corey Feldman now, but like I don't think the people
be defined by what's happening now.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like it's a testament to how like warm the memories people have of these movies is that you can still watch it and go like, yeah, it's sad, but I'm not going to think about that when I watch this movie. Like I feel like a lesser someone who was in lesser stuff, I feel like that would be the case.
I have the feeling with Corey Haim because there's that one movie he did with Charlie Sheen and Winona Ryder. God, what was it called? He played like a boy that just couldn't catch a break, and apparently Charlie Sheen raped him on the set of that film.
Yeah, that's not Winona Ryder, right?
Yeah,
step away for like 3 minutes and come back to this.
What's the movie called? I gotta look it up. It's a film. Winona Ryder was in it. She had a really short haircut. Yes, Lucas. That was the one.
Wow.
That movie always makes me cry.
It's about to make me cry. Can we start talking about the Burbs again, which Corey Feldman is not even a huge part of?
But the thing that Matt was saying was like, do you think that people, because of what happened to Corey Feldman, like since like people wouldn't watch a Corey Feldman movie, or like they wouldn't? And I
would watch a movie he put out now, but I don't think it bothers me to like watch Stand By Me or Goonies or this.
The younger generations though, like they'd be like, ew, I would never watch. I haven't seen Goonies. I would never watch it because Corey Feldman's in it.
If they think they don't,
I feel like it's
this generation doesn't know who Corey Feldman is unless you're a millennial who grew up watching like 80s films or whatever.
He doesn't have any profile now, right?
Yeah, he doesn't really.
Oh, I thought he was everywhere because of his.
No, not for the
music.
Not now. No. He had
one
Today Show performance, and they were like, "That's enough."
He's mostly known for his music now.
Yeah.
I know, but because of the cringe stuff that he does on stage, I thought that everyone was like, I thought he had more of a presence. See, this is why I don't look, I leave the house and people want to talk about movies, and I'm like, I shouldn't leave the house. I should stay online. I can curtail my conversations better this way because people want to talk about movies.
So Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's why I don't think the Burbs works now, because you have this same. You'd have the same level of hyper specificity, hyper focus on things that are none of your business, but it's online. So unless it's a period piece, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Right?
Like it would have to have some like Charlie Kaufman level like inventive writing, or like Britt Marling or something, where you like turn it around in such a weird obtuse way that it makes sense.
They're going to totally rewrite.
You think of
reboot.
Well, because you think about it, you're like, oh, let me look up my new neighbors on Facebook.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. They have the sex offender registry. It's like you do that. Like everybody's doing this already. Right?
It is funny.
It's a different world.
In the alternate ending, which is terrible, they have Dr. Klopek basically just bitching and moaning about HOAs and how you can't paint your house a certain color.
Right. Which is funny.
It's funny, but it's like,
funny because it's like
this
is a killer that's he's bitching about the HOAs.
Yeah,
great. In the same way that if there was a deleted scene in Silence of the Lambs where Buffalo Bill was doing that, like great, I'd be into that as well. It's like
it puts the lotion on its skin and it paints the house the color of trim.
Okay, last thing about
I had to go to the city council to get my torture dungeon added.
last thing about Corey Feldman.
No, he'd have a city councilor in the thing, and he'd be torturing the city councilor.
I was gonna say it was gonna be like the city council meeting and What We Do in the Shadows, where Nandor speaks. But anyway, it's Buffalo Bill.
Who do you think has a better
I just feel like you should be able to build whatever kind of dungeon you want in your Brisbane. Who is this guy?
Now that you know Queenie the dog, I forget the dog's real name, but now that you know that dog was in
Precious.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Batman
Darla,
Returns,
I think.
and
Darla, yeah, that's her name.
Speaker
who do you
name,
think
please.
has a better reputation today? Queenie, or was it Darla?
Darla, yeah.
Darla or Corey Feldman?
Oh, definitely
Darla.
Last thing.
Darla,
yeah.
Darla did nothing wrong. But no, it reminds me of we were talking about Legally Blonde, and we talked about how there were sibling chihuahuas. One of them was in Legally Blonde. The other one was the Taco Bell dog. Yeah, and they were like, it reminds me of, there's like some great dog actors.
So Queenie is not only in The Burbs, not only Precious in Silence of the Lambs, but also is Erie, Indiana, often forgotten about cult television show in the 90s.
Didn't Joe Dante have something to do with that?
I think so, yeah. And small roles in Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Batman Returns as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. Tim Burton. I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure was Tim Burton's first movie, and I'm like, he went from that to Beetlejuice. I'm like, damn.
By the way, not a poodle.
I like to think of Joe Dante and Tim Burton fighting over who gets to cast Darla the dog, and then
So it's a since there's never going to be a time to bring this up. Darla's not a poodle. Just so we're clear.
No, she's
Bichon
like
Breed of the dog is a Bichon Frise. Yeah,
Bichon
so that's a Franco-Belgian breed. And people get real mad about it online.
We got. See, we're fact checking for you guys. Don't be mad at us.
That's why they can't make the Burbs again. That's why they can't remake it.
Yes,
because of people like that. They're just in forums now. They're like,
actually,
I do think you could remake the Burbs. I like what you said about this having lockdown vibes.
Yeah,
and I think
that's the move. You place it during lockdown. Right?
Yeah, you put it during lockdown, and you have
Get the writers' room ready.
Let's
do this.
Tom Hanks going more and more crazy because he's stuck in his house because of COVID.
Yes.
Okay, so so I'm working on a stage adaptation of Sinners and making a musical. Now we're gonna work on the Burbs.
Get Dante on the phone.
The Burbs, the musical.
I think
Are you some kind of Slavic?
I was gonna say there's already a musical for it.
Did you guys like Sinners?
I love Sinners.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen it, so
we did an episode on Friday. If I said no, would that be surprising? Yeah, I would.
Have you not seen my TikToks? Like, I've been posting everyone doing their own version.
I see Sinners
Kristina,
past.
If you have to ask, have you not seen my TikToks? The answer is they haven't. Just
I post them on Instagram stories. Just saying.
I was reposting your Irish Instagram story today. I don't know.
So
it's
so Matt. It's the best. It's the best movie
so far
overall for my taste for the year.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a perfect movie.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but it is my favorite movie of the year so far. Mm-hmm. So it's the one right now. It's the one to beat.
Have you guys done Black Bag?
People.
Black Bag. I got a black bag for you right here.
Have you done it?
I'm getting some topical cream for it too. No, I've not seen it. Soderbergh puts out too many movies.
I don't generally like his stuff, but I love this movie. I thought it was great.
I haven't seen it. Maybe Black Bag's gonna be the new.
I don't think it's the best movie of the year, but I'm just doing that.
It's the best movie if you like black bags, though.
I was watching that while you were talking
Black
about
Bag fans love this one.
Well, so okay, cool. So I got to check out Sinners.
Sinners is great. Yeah, I can't say enough. I mean, we got early in on that one too. Not as early as we would have liked, but
I mean, people are playing Rocky Road to Dublin at the club now. You see, like white, like I'm seeing Irish people, black people, like arm in arm dancing around to that song.
That's how we save race relations in the United States.
That's exactly right. Let's do it.
We need tunnels connecting our dungeons. The city council needs to recognize us.
Seriously, we can solve racism by just playing that song at the club.
There's rules in this neighborhood that I don't think are fair. If you dig,
so it's Bane versus Buffalo Bill on the city council now.
I was trying to do Buffalo Bill and talk like this, but it came out as Bane. But he's like
somebody has something to say. Were they a great big fat person?
Do I have to paint my house gray?
He's like.
Let's say you have an accessory dwelling unit. What do you have? What do you have to bring?
There's rules about. They keep saying they'll fine me $800 if I dig a hole in my downstairs, and they do house inspections, and if you have a hole if you dig a hole in your basement, they charge you I don't have $800. I'm currently unemployed.
Speaking of which, I have a GoFundMe. Help me out here.
Let's say there's a billionaire that has your pit, your remote ancient prison, and does not treat it respectfully.
Is this Bane? Is this Buffalo Bane?
This is Bane at the homeowners association, by the way.
I would like
about
to
Batman.
see the Burbs with Bane as art. That would be.
So we all right. New game, right? So it's take a movie and everything is the same, but replace one character with Bane. But it can't be an action movie.
Like you do with the Muppets?
I think
like that.
I think the Burbs in replacing art with Bane would just like Matt just said. I mean, I'm still, but I think it would be amazing because they're like, oh, the neighbors are kind of weird, but then you have Bane and nobody thinks Bane is
let
weird.
it go.
Satan is my pal. Satan is my friend.
Geraldo Rivera is coming.
You're chanting.
That's really funny.
You're chanting. You're chanting. Rick, you're chanting. You're chanting, Rick. You're chanting.
He's like raiding his fridge.
It would go hard if he's like,
you cannot mess with suburbanites anymore because we're not going to take.
Oh yeah, it would be super threatening.
shit.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Imagine people coming now to the podcast and thinking, "What the fuck is going on?" What?
Is this a Bane cast? This is
A thermostat on a home furnace. Is that supposed to go to 5,000 degrees? You think?
I don't know, Bane.
Although
Maybe
you could also have the Dr. Klopek. You could have him be Bane, and he comes down and he's like,
I know that you saw my skulls in the furnace.
That's true, but also I just want to hear Bane go.
Safety is my middle name.
Honestly,
I thought Bane's middle name was Lewis.
I'm also kind of I will fully admit that my impression kind of leans more into the Harley Quinn version of Bane, which is played more comic because it's so good.
The guy
too.
who does the Bernie Sanders impression all the time.
Yeah.
He's so good.
That is a ridiculously hilarious cartoon.
I have
Fred
a
Winston.
feeling the tension was palpable.
Have you seen Larry David do Han Solo?
Well, no, I've not.
From an old SNL, or maybe it was what was the other one, Fridays or something like that.
Yeah,
it
Fridays,
was. I showed it to my wife. I said, "Who is this?" And she watched it over and over, even though it said in big bold letters at the top of the little video, "Larry David is Han Solo," and she just was like, "I have no idea who that is." It's incredible. Anyway, off topic, but
that's crazy. That's how is that Larry David?
Yeah, look. No,
how is that Larry? How is that Larry David?
Wow. All right. Sure. Fuck.
Oh wow.
Good, right?
What the?
Okay.
It'd be like
Kessel Run.
It'd be like they're doing the who shot first. They're doing the who shot first. Like hot or Greedo thing, and then and then you just see him do the Larry stare. He's like dun 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 dun. He's like okay, and he walks away. That's crazy though.
Yeah. Now every movie I watch, I'm gonna swap.
Wow,
you can swap it out with Bane.
David.
Michael Richards is Darth Vader and Larry David is Han Solo. That's a skit that exists.
Sorry, I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at this. Sinners, but with Bane as the Michael B. Jordan roles.
Oh my god.
Oh, how many roles?
It's a
Okay, hold
dual
on.
role.
You can. It won't be spoiled for me. How many roles does he play?
He plays
Two.
twin
He's
brothers.
twins. He plays twins.
Oh,
And they're very
okay,
different.
Be like y'all
Smoking
y'all
stack.
brothers.
No. We cousins.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's a quote. It's so funny too.
That's great.
You've never heard of the Smokestack twins?
Sir, we believe in equality.
What's the premise? What is the premise of that movie?
You just gotta watch it, dude.
It's
hard.
great. It's great. It's great.
Is
The
there
premise is it's
a-
great, and watch the movie.
You
That's
will
the
get
premise.
up from your seat
I don't
and dance like I did.
I don't want to I feel like giving it gives away the.
No, I mean,
movie
why are
too
you
much
doing
to-
it with the Burbs? Like, are you doing like a series of like a theme right now, or no?
No, it's not a
Oh,
theme
okay.
month. We just I liked it enough. I was the holdout. I was the one added on. I want to talk about it.
Oh,
because I was the one that I was trying to limit the amount of episodes before tour, right? But I was like, no, fuck it. We need to talk about this. This movie's awesome. Yeah. So
And then we talked about it for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Conan,
well, we
I
talked
just
about
want to
did a lot of
say,
stuff. Yeah.
I just want to say quickly, because I talked to you right before you went on tour, and this is the first time I've seen you since you got back. It looked like you had a legit rock tour, man. Like following it on social media, I was like, these guys are living life. This looks
I've been doing it for 25 years, but the difference now is I'm starting to put it online.
That looked cool as hell. I was like, oh my God, I wish I was with those guys as a roadie right now. That looked like it was a lot of fun.
So we'll talk about, are we doing an after party? We do an after party. We can talk about all that and so much more. All right, great. So before any of that, Letterboxd, of course, is a place for film lovers to talk out with and to each other about the films they love, maybe the films that they didn't love, maybe the films that they just were talking about. How hot Bruce Dern's wife was. I don't know. Not for me to say. Everybody gets
I can't believe that's Wendy Schall. Like, that's crazy.
Wendy Schall.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to chime and opine about everything under the sun, not just Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everyone gets to have their say. And of course, these are best expressed succinctly for the purposes of this bit, where they're collected weekly for Forrest and the rest of the panel to respond to, laugh with, at, and so on and so on. These are the Letterboxd one-liners for the Burbs. Let's go.
Can you do them all as Bane?
I will not. I can do one, maybe. It's fun to shit on Twitter, but this is what guys with too much free time were doing before they had an outlet for their unhinged conspiracy theories.
Yeah. No,
that's what I'm saying. That's the only way a reboot would work.
Art would go crazy on Twitter.
You want to go knock on their door like Jay and Silent Bob? Whatever. Funny's funny. It's fine.
Art's just like Art's sitting there and he's like, you never guess what they posted. Rick, you'll never guess what they posted. Rick, they posted.
How dare you?
Rick, they posted. They posted Rick. Rick, look at their post. Rick.
He'd be like, Ray, Jewish space lasers. Ray, space lasers.
I don't know why I keep saying it. My brain wants to call Tom Hanks Rick. I don't know.
The closest thing we'll get to a Sims movie.
Oh.
There you go. Right, think about it. Yeah, think about it. Right. Yeah.
Simlish speak.
I liked when they put they had the diamond over Bruce Dern's head, and he's walking around.
Exactly. He changed the colors too, not just green.
Surprising. I didn't see it.
They'd be like, all right, now fall off the roof. My sim fell off the roof. Fell off the roof.
Remove the ladder from the pool when they're swimming and they'll fall asleep and drown and die.
Fell off the roof.
That's my favorite thing to do.
My sim, I made my sim try to touch the wire, and the wire went off, and he flew off the ladder.
My sim's caught on fire and died, and they tried to self-extinguish themselves, and it did not work.
Dude, the wives disappear for like a day. Carrie Fisher disappears at least for a day,
and something literally explodes.
Well, no, multiple. First they let Art clip the wire, and he blows off the ladder, and then they explode the entire house, and she's gone for 2 hours.
It's peak man child. Tag yourself. I'm Corey Feldman, inviting all my friends to come watch 3 idiots blow up their neighbor's house.
Dude, you gotta come over. I love when they're like, we're going to go get something to eat, and he's like, no, I called the pizza man, and they're like, oh,
yeah, exactly. It's great. It's so good.
And also, after all that, he's still asking the like the guy to hang out with them or whatever, like the brother of Henry Gibson's character, Brother Theodore. They're asking Brother Theodore to hang out. He's like, what are you gonna do?
Hang out with us, dude.
He's like, I got pizza, and he's like, oh my god. He's like, I got pizza.
I'm gonna start driving my car up the driveway to the trash can every time I take the trash out.
Oh boy, I gotta take out the trash on Thursday.
By the way, since I read this, I have thought about that. A lot. I'm like, wow, that is true. He drives out to take out the trash in the car. Yeah, it's amazing.
I like that Tom Hanks has like an autistic hyperfixation on that too, because he's like I've never seen anything. I've never seen somebody drive down to the curb to pick up the trailer. I've never seen anything like that. And
they comment, they're like, no headlights. It's like, why would he put his headlights on? Well, why would he drive?
He's going to the trash can. Why would he drive? Sense. Exactly. Why would you drive to the garbage can?
I've never seen something like that, and I've lived in plenty of houses.
I've lived in a pit, and I've never seen that before.
I do like the line that he's like fucking cul-de-sacs, you can't get out of here.
Yeah. It's good. Fuck cul-de-sacs. I love Tom Hanks in anything he did, but God, he is truly at his best when he's a crazy, screaming lunatic.
I bet you took inspo for Toy Story.
Well, he does the voice. He does the voice so good in this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he does the Woody voice even better in this movie. I mean, it's just the Tom Hanks voice, but it's when he kind of gets like weird and shrill. Like,
yeah, chaotic.
Oh man, for the Burbs reboot, we get Chet Hanks. We get Chet Hanks as the Corey Feldman role. Yes,
we need to remake. Yeah.
All right, somebody's taking notes.
We need to reboot the boobs.
It's gonna. I know I'm never gonna live that down.
Peacock.
It's gonna show up. Here's the thing. It's gonna show up. Someone's gonna say it on Twitter in like 2 weeks. I'm like, God damn it! Like we already said that stuff like 2 weeks ago.
He's been talking.
Boobs.
He's kind of mellowed out from his white boy summer bullshit. He's kind of like acting like a normal being, Chet Hanks. He's been talking about his dad a lot, how close they are, and I'm like, I can't believe you're Tom Hanks' son because you look nothing like him.
See, that's the thing though. He's fine. Like he and the son get along, and that like Rick Ducommun had to be the most annoying person in the entire world because Tom Hanks is fine with his annoying ass son, who's like one of the most genuinely annoying people I've ever seen online.
And then there's Colin.
But Rick Ducommun pissed him off. I want to know how annoying that guy was.
That's what I'm saying. In the Corey Feldman role, not in the Tom Hanks role. Like that would be amazing because they'd be like, oh, this fucking guy. It'd be a different vibe on him. Anyway, a bunch of unemployed whack jobs harass their new neighbors, break into their home, and blow it up.
This is the most jobless movie of all time. Like because he's off from work, but if he had worked that week, he would have at least had something to do.
Exactly. Art, what are you getting up to?
I'm looking at the neighbors.
I wish I don't want a sequel to this, but I want to know what like that character like Ray is like because he's like entirely too stressed out about normal stuff, and that's like from the very beginning, and he like lets himself get worked up about stuff. And I wonder if he's just like that, like
well, they seem like
somebody comes into it.
Yeah, like of all the things to get worked up about too, like it seems like they're pretty like well off in that 80s way that everyone seems to be like pretty well off. And like he's married to a like awesome lady. Like I mean, what's the freaking conflict? And
he has a pretty normal son.
Yeah, like, exactly. Especially by comparison. Right?
Yeah, it's not like that Ricky Butler.
Anyway, Homelandry, that was a great one. Yo, is that the dog from Silence of the Lambs? Yo, it was.
Yeah.
Ooh, purchase. Everyone knows
It puts
Darla.
the lotion on its skin. It does what it's told.
And you see Tom Hanks down there. Ah!
He's in the pit.
Yeah. He's like, I really don't think I should be putting this lotion on my skin. I really don't think I should. And he's like, put the lotion on your skin. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I'll do it. I guess.
I mean, fun fact: they're putting us like sunblock lotion like dispensers all over Augusta, Georgia, and so many people are mad about it because like that shit causes cancer. And I'm like, the sun causes skin cancer. What the fuck?
Okay. Wow.
Oh my god, I hate local news comment sections. The worst.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's pause for a second and hear what Kristina said. You hate what now?
I hate the local news comment section because that's what people are saying. Shit like that. It's, what do you think?
I mean, it's bad in New York. I can't imagine how much worse they are in Georgia or South Carolina, like that. Yeah, that whole area, right? Like
they're like, we don't need this. Sunscreen causes cancer. We know this. So I'm like, no, it doesn't. What?
I've heard sunscreen causes cancer. Better to stay in the pit.
All I'm saying is you would never get sunburn in the pits or cancer in the pits.
That's what I'm saying. It's why there shouldn't be HOA approval for building an extra part of your dungeon. I'm doing a service.
Look, okay. They said that if they're testing around the house, and if I used your skin to make my couch covering, they're going to charge me an extra $1,000, and I just don't think that's fair because I think I should be able to make my couch covering whatever material I want, whether that's skin, hair, or.
It's why I have my night vision goggles. Doesn't everybody?
They're said that they're going to start fining people for having night vision goggles.
We are really deep in this bit, aren't we? All right, let's move on. There's an entire subplot dedicated to Bruce Dern's Vietnam vet being bested by his neighbor's Bichon Freeze. Joe Dante is a genius, and it's true, and it is awesome.
He's like, I'm gonna kill it. He's like, I'm gonna kill that dog, and his wife has to be like, no, don't kill that dog.
It's good. It's good.
He's just trying to impress his wife. She's so hot, and he's like, I could impress her by telling her I'm gonna kill that dog, but then not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to. I didn't because you said something. When your wife thinks you're cheating on her, but you're really just breaking into the neighbor's house with your boyfriends. Very good. Deserves more than 2 likes. Maybe
they don't even look in the furnace. They see that there's a furnace and they go, "Yeah, not looking in there."
And you can tell he regrets it. Yeah, at the end he's like, "Why didn't I look in there?"
It's just a simple furnace. How else will you heat your pit?
I can't see Henry Gibson without thinking about we must be doing something right to last 200
Nashville.
years.
First Nashville Burbs connection I thought of. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Nashville is somehow the darker side of the American psyche than the Burbs.
It really is. It's funny.
Yeah.
As someone who's lived on one the entirety of his life, the line, "I hate cul-de-sacs, there's only one way out and the people are weird," is 110% true.
Yeah, I literally live in one right now.
I would never. I would literally never. Those are Letterboxd one-liners.
Cul-de-sac.
Those are Letterboxd one-liners for the Burbs. Cul-de-sac's a fun word to say, by the way.
There's only one way out and the people are weird.
There's only one way out.
For the Burbs, you can find us on the show on @MovieNightExtra on Letterboxd. Please give us a follow over there. We're posting up stories from all the great movies that we cover in these episodes, attendant short form content, extra stuff, all that kind of thing. Please give the show a follow there. Satan is our pal over there @AlwaysFlacco. He's watching.
You merely adopted the cul-de-sac. I was made by it, molded by it. I didn't know there was another way to get out till I was but 14.
He's watching all the stuff that we do in the show as well as other stuff. He's kind of going on a little mini Joe Dante journey, which I am in full support of. So I'm supporting my bro for going on a journey with Joe Dante because Joe Dante is great. Can't believe this is the first one we've ever done. Joe Dante, come on the show. Not lying. Please do. I am Conan Neutron. Satanic Pate.
He's been on JG Michael has had him on, I'm pretty sure.
Been on lesser shows. I mean, good other shows.
What the hell? What are we doing?
Actually, low key, I'd normally not tell this on air, but fuck it, why not? That's that's how I got Michael Lehman on the show. Was it with a conversation in one of Joe Dante's threads? I just started talking with Michael Lehman.
Oh. Yeah,
back in the golden days of Twitter.
Hudson Hawk.
I'm thinking about Hudson Hawk. I don't think it's good, but I mean, I think it'd be interesting to hear. It'd be interesting to hear him talk about it.
If there's one person that is so excited to come back on this podcast, it's Michael Lehman. I swear to God.
He has a great time. Dude, do you remember when I saw someone name them, like their username is Winona Ryder's Monocle, like after we did that episode. I'm like, great. Because he told the story of the monocle. Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway. Whatever. This show's great. Listen to it. Like and subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. Conan Neutron, Satanic Pate. That's me. Highbrow, midbrow, populist fair. Working through the Criterion Challenge. I just watched the Becoming Led Zeppelin movie, which was good. I enjoyed it.
It's good? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I liked it. It stops right at Led Zeppelin 2, which is like, didn't they make like 5 more records after that?
Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
But it's really good. And I was talking to somebody, actually it's the opening band in Washington, D.C. about it. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, what if they make like 2 more? I'm like, okay, well, now you got me. Great. Because like, and I wouldn't even say, I love Led Zeppelin, but I wouldn't, like, if you, like, any kinds of those kinds of things, I'm like 100% in for, always.
Give me the immigrants.
You merely adopted Led Zeppelin. I was made by Led Zeppelin, molded by it.
Led Zeppelin 2, they're hardly getting started.
At Conan Neutron on Letterboxd. Please follow me along for that. I'm actually not only keeping pace, I'm still ahead of the game for Criterion Challenge, so watch me work it. Kristina, Joe Dante's Inferno. Adam Kristina on Letterboxd. Please follow her for all the great stuff that is and is not Sinners that she's logging on there. She's keeping a more regular accounting of things.
She's on the Rocky Road to Dublin.
Yeah,
Dublin indeed. Letterhack, Master Strackbein. What's your username on Letterboxd? Is it just Letterhack, or is it Friends of?
Do you even have a letterbox?
I don't know.
You do. He totally does. I fucking see his shit all the time, and I'm like,
yeah, I think it's the Letterhack.
Okay. Well,
I hope, or it could be Friends of Strackbein. I think it's the Letterhack. Yeah.
We're gonna get our top researchers on this.
I don't know
It is indeed. It's the Letterhack. Yeah, it's the Letterhack.
Okay. Yeah.
Top 4 movies: Empire Strikes Back, Stand by Me, Inherent Vice, and Akira. Pretty good.
Yep.
Okay.
The Burbs would probably be number 5, I think. But like, for me, I think that my reviews are always very short. I'm trying to do the briefest reviews possible. Sometimes, if I have more than a few sentences, I really had something to say about it. But
right.
Less is more.
Less, sure. I'm of the more is more variety.
I know. I love them. I love all of your reviews, but I don't have time.
Letterhack Tour was already taken. Yeah, too bad. Forrest, let's hit it with the plugs. Which way?
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. And we'd humbly request that you watch the video to the end, because it helps us with the algorithm and helps more film fans to discover the show. We're also monetized. If you want to get your chat questions definitely read on stream, you can always send us a super chat, which will help us keep the show going. Every cent helps. If you're watching on Twitch, you can gift us a free sub on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership, but getting subs on Twitch is always appreciated, and it helps to follow us on there as well. We also have an audio feed, which is available wherever you download podcasts, if you prefer to listen to podcasts rather than watch the stream. That's updated usually the same day we stream, but watching on YouTube and Twitch is the best way to get the show first, live as it happens. If you want to support us with a monthly donation and get access to all of our after parties forever, which go patron only after we do them, you can become a patron at patreon.com/movie night extra. Link is in the description for that. It really helps us keep the show going since we do have some expenses to make this happen. We also have a Discord community. Link is in the description for that. We sometimes watch movies we cover on there. We get into conversations about everything from film to TV shows to related podcasts. We even have a Discord channel for memes. It's really fun on there. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. You connect with us on all of those. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, we recently made a TikTok at Movie Night Extra where we're putting up short form clips from the episodes. Okay, passing this to Conan so he can tell you about his music and this week's Protonic Reversal. Conan, who's on Protonic this week?
So Nina Nostalgia episode is up for patrons still. Going to be up and online for everybody tomorrow. There was some light audio editing needed to happen on there. Jason Rivera of Gaytheist coming up on Friday instead of Thursday. It's not Thursday because they're opening for Jesus Lizard, so couldn't make that happen. But very excited. The new Gaytheist record is one of my favorites of the year. A highly, highly enjoyable band. They're also playing Caterwaul, which we will get to later. But I really like their... I like everything they've done. They've been around for since 2011, I think, something along those lines. They've been around for a while. Jason kind of dresses like a dandy a little bit, but they play like this really cool, hooky, heavy rock. The Mustache Days is the name of the album. So that's coming up. I can't believe I'm fitting in Protonic Reversals when I'm less than a week out from going on tour. But here we are. Here we are, everybody. So yeah, patreon.com/Protonic Reversal, $1 a month for advance access for all that. ProtonicReversal.com for the archives. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. There may be something else dropping either before I leave or afterwards. I don't know. But I'm not doing any pre-records for when I'm out on tour. There's not enough patrons. How's that for a hook? If there's more patrons, maybe I would do it, but I'm not going to. You didn't clap hard enough. Tinkerbell died. Tinkerbell died! So yeah, that's all that's going on. Everything right now is Secret Friends. We are going on a big coast-to-coast U.S. tour. Again, less than a week. So if you are in the East Coast, Midwest, or West Coast, we got Washington, D.C., we got Boston, we got Providence, we got New York, Philadelphia, Youngstown, Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis for Caterwaul, Sioux City, Rapid City, Casper, Missoula, Boise, Bend, Seattle, Portland, Oakland, Palmdale, LA, San Diego, Lung for some of those shows, Elephant Rifle for the whole third leg, and Cosmic Kitten for the last 3 shows. And then we're going to hit up the South probably in the fall. But neutronfriends.bandcamp.com for Way of the Neutron. That's the new record. Highly recommended. Highly recommended for a number of reasons, not the least of which is because it's good, but also because it gives me money, which I could use right now. Thank you. You can also listen to it on things where I don't see a dime from, Spotify and all that. It's all up on all the normal things. Awooga. And we have Caterwaul coming up, 4-day music festival, Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're playing Sunday with Piscines, Buildings, Biggin, Suckling, Lung, et cetera, et cetera. 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. Come out to that. Throw it every year. It's a great time. It's a good community, et cetera, et cetera. Forrest will be there, so why aren't you?
All the way from a cul-de-sac.
Exactly. Straight from the cul-de-sac onto your plate. One of the coolest print interviews that I've ever done, with an Irishman, no less. I didn't ask if he was doing the dance, Kristina. Came out today, which is in Post-Burnout. So if you're interested in print and you want to read, please go to postburnout.com. There's a really good interview with me about the new record, my creative life, punk rock, more or less defining my personality, existence, and curiosity about the world, et cetera, et cetera. So check that out. That's cool. We have 2 really cool things happening next week, but I'll probably mention them when we do the next episode because that's the last one I'm going to be on until June. And we will get into that later. But the important thing right now is if you are remotely a fan of this show, me, or the band, please spread the word about these shows. Because what normally ends up happening these days is you play a city, and someone's like, hey, when are you coming to insert name of city? And you're like, yeah, I just was there yesterday. Because people didn't hear about it. And I'm not even exaggerating. That happens 2 or 3 times every tour. And it's exhausting because we do a lot more than most and not as much as some. But it is a lot of effort, and it's something where if you do enjoy live music and you want to see it continue, especially with me doing it, then please continue. Spread the word, even if you're not in any of those cities. If you know people that are, mention it to them, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, getting down off the soapbox, but this is my livelihood we're talking about, so it's a pretty big deal. Sorry it's not being on the internet, but sorry. But sometimes I'm off the internet. I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm off the internet. So
you were made by the
you were made by the internet. I was sculpted,
molded by it.
Yeah, boy, that is an evergreen impersonation. It's the easiest impersonation. So yeah, there's
you were made by the internet, molded by it.
There's a couple of cool things coming up. I'm excited. It's a good long tour, man. We're gonna be out to sea, so I'm excited for that. And if you want to see it, please do. Neutronfriends.bandcamp.com, neutronfriends.com. Satanic Pate. Kristina, what do you got?
Just covering all the Trump bullshit that's been happening. We covered the Met Gala fashion, which I'm over here like, look at me, and I'm judging fashion. Yeah, we talked about
what fun is the Met Gala if not judging fan? And you're like, oh, I would have never worn that if I went to the Met Gala.
I wish Trump was still judging the Met Gala, like from his instead of being the president. That'd be good.
Yeah.
He just wanted to judge award shows. Like they should have just given him an award show job.
My God, they should have made him part of like TMZ because he was talking about the Kristen Stewart stuff back in the day when she was cheating on Robert Pattinson with that director, whatever.
He tweeted about that 15 times in a week.
He tweeted about me, for God's sakes. Like you had time to go. Also, too, I want $30. By the way, you motherfucker who sits on a gold toilet for fun while you're taking a shit. Anyway, we're also. It's true, though. It's true. That's how he tweeted it.
I didn't say it wasn't true. I was just surprised you were calling him out about it, as if he was like a regular subscriber. But maybe he is.
Oh, please.
Trump loves movies. He had his recent thing where he came up with the idea to reopen Alcatraz because he watched Escape from Alcatraz. Maybe he's a subscriber.
Internet extravaganza, very weak show, poor takes.
terrible
Bane
films not
impressions.
filmed in America. And I'm like, oh great, new
I
season
don't-
of White Lotus is
yeah,
gonna be filmed in Cleveland now. White Lotus, Cleveland, let's go.
White Lotus,
Also,
yeah.
still watching Dark Shadows. Quentin knows that Burbs is a vampire. Everyone knows that Burbs is a vampire. The walls are closing in. He's got to finish this 1897 storyline because I don't know what else to do. Like, it's getting interesting. People, but once again, more people are like, "Oh my god, I remember this show." And then other people are like, "I was here to lurk and work on something different, but then like I'm hooked. I can't stop watching this." I'm like, "Yeah." Just a reminder, guys: if your soap opera's failing, add vampires, add a supernatural. It'll work for a few years.
It's awesome.
I don't think it's a shameless maneuver that might make people cynical about your creative output.
Wow, Bane's really like going deep.
Yeah.
Bane's judging the Met Gala. I would never have worn that.
Yeah, and we
I'm
also
not sure she quite pulled that off. It's a
we
daring look.
also had teens react to like 90s hip hop, and the fact they did not know that Tupac started on the digital underground was insane. I'm like, who are raising you? Come on now. How do you not know Tupac started in the digital
How are we
underground?
gonna know who got busy in a Burger King bathroom if you don't know digital underground?
The dance is your chance to do the hump. Wait, no.
It's your chance to do the hump.
If you want to see more of this comedic
Come to the after
genius,
party.
please come to the after party because I'm sure it won't be
Matt,
stopped.
what do you got going on?
Oh, I'm doing I do my show 5 days a week now, Monday through Friday. I have 2 morning shows on Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm having a ton of guests all the time. I've got artist and activist Josh McPhee coming on soon. I have the founder and editor-in-chief of Equal Access Public Media, Stacey Kess, coming on the show. The Vanguard Boys are coming on the show. The Virginia Hemp Coalition is coming on the show. That's going to be like 6 people and me on screen at the same time for the Virginia Hemp Coalition. It's going to be very fun. Yeah, booked and busy over at youtube.com/the Letterhack Monday through Friday.
I told Gavin to come on when he has like his movie drop because they're putting it. I think they just released that No Clip 2 movie. They just released that to festivals.
No Clip 2. Electric
awesome.
Boogaloo.
That's me.
All right.
Oh, and I've got art projects coming out too, but it's nothing I can talk about. So it's that kind of thing.
Relatable.
Yeah.
This is what do we call that? Relatable. Yeah, I mean, I think your show's great, man. Like you were kind enough, actually, real early on. You for the press cycle for Way of the Neutron, you had me on, and it was one of the more informed and in-depth interviews that I've done.
That means a lot coming from you because that's your
I do
thing.
a lot of them.
Like you
Wow.
have the
Someone's fangirling.
Protonic reversal is. I mean, that's like. You know.
Oh my god, someone just donated $100 to my GoFundMe.
Definition.
What?
Oh, that's
what
cool.
other people paying voice?
I'm so excited about the donation to my GoFundMe.
But no,
I mean, like it's because there's plenty of press I do that I never mention on this show or any other where it's just like, yeah, I just did that. You know, like whatever. It's what I do.
Hey, now what about us? We should be interviewing you, me and Forrest.
Great.
That'd be
Let's
awesome.
go. I mean, sounds good.
Make an after party thing.
But yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that if you don't already subscribe to Letterhack, he's got it.
What's wrong with you, for one?
First of all, what's wrong with you? Yeah, let's start with that because that's the best way to start any conversation.
It's a fun show. I've been talking a
time.
lot about online media meeting pop culture, like where politics news meets pop culture, and the way you can't go on TikTok or Instagram or social media or online at all without seeing literally everything: anime, sports, politics, mainstream, indie. It's all there all the time. And I've been talking about all that stuff and kind of trying to foresee where it leads, especially in terms of AI images and fake AI images and people's desire to believe in anything, as long as there's more than just them believing in it. So, where does all that lead? So I've been kind of narrowly asking all my guests about this stuff, trying to find some connectivity there. Not like a theme, but really analyzing all the news and pop culture at the same time and see if there's some sort of inevitable outcome that would, more or less be really terrifying.
Nice. Well,
We'll
I like
see.
it. It's a good show. I've been on as a guest. I've been on as a subject. It's great.
It's still a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of
great
fun.
I'll come on anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime you want me on, let me know. Like as long as, except for I don't feel like doing it. Don't ask me. But
Well, anyone can turn down the invite at any time. That's totally acceptable.
I'm gonna be on Mike Watt's show on Friday. That's
Oh,
cool.
cool.
That'll be the 4th time I've been on, but like,
Wow,
yeah, I'm excited
awesome.
for that. That's a huge deal in my world. Rick in the comments, I had Anime Bodies in repeat in the other room for like 4 hours. Forgot to mention, I put out a record by the band Vile Bees, and the first single, Anime Bodies, is up for everyone to listen to on the things that are not Bandcamp. If you go to vilebees.bandcamp.com, you can check out what they're all about. They're an awesome band. I think they're like one of the best bands in Milwaukee that, strangely, I've never had nobody from that band has been on this show. Because I feel like almost everyone in my musical life has been. But, you know, not those guys, but they're great. Obviously, they're great. I fucking put out the record, right? So, anyway.
Yeah.
Matt, let's hear some The Burbs final thoughts. Why don't you?
It has always been that movie that just hit me at the perfect age. It's one of the most quotable movies I've ever come across, and I watch a lot of movies, and there's a lot of quotable stuff out there. But for me, the cartoony aspects of it, it didn't serve to ground the movie, but it never took me out of the movie. Whereas I think a lot of times I watch a lot of movies these days where you can tell they got some comedic writer to come in and punch it up, right? And it's like, it's just a little too jokey. Everyone's sense of humor is stupid or sarcastic. This was just pure fun and pure funny. And so, you know, I think that a lot of that is because the actors were taking it serious, that they were taking it seriously in a way that they still knew it was a comedy. And they weren't supposed to be overly serious. But that doesn't mean the characters weren't supposed to be portrayed as real as possible. And so I really appreciated that aspect of it. And it continues to be a movie that it might feel dated in some of the themes, but it doesn't really age for me. It just sort of, it was as awesome as it could be the first time I saw it. And it's never been less so.
All right. Kristina, Joe Dante's Inferno, please give us your final thoughts on The Burbs.
Well, if you're looking for a Joe Dante film to start with, I highly recommend this one. Definitely, because it's very relevant, especially like it's relevant throughout like all time. You know, there's always some weird satanic panic happening, and now that we live in a world where more people are analyzing those, this movie's a good way to kind of, you know, icebreaker, bring a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of humor to it. And underrated Tom Hanks film, definitely. And if you're like if you're looking for like a new Tom Hanks film to watch, because you've probably seen them all the big mainstream hits, definitely check this one out.
All right. There you go. I never thought of this as a starter Joe Dante, but I like it. I like that.
Yeah,
that's good. You can work your way up to Gremlins, right?
Yes.
It's a ramp up.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it's a great moment in time, capture of the 1980s suburban boredom nosiness, kind of turned dangerous, and it's crazily out of time now that aspects of it seem almost like science fiction. But I think the fear of the other, the xenophobia, and like the judgment with the wrong kind of curiosity, unfortunately timeless. Yeah. And I think this movie's very good. Probably would have been a little more powerful if the weird family had done nothing wrong. But the escalated stakes are deliciously 80s, over the top, and quintessentially Joe Dante. And as I said, one of my favorite Tom Hanks performances. The lived-in world's amazing. It's a testament to the direction, the low-grade atrocity and disaster. It all works here as great entertainment. And, I don't... Again, I have my problems with the ending, but it's hard to top that incredibly exasperated Tom Hanks speech at the end, which is just an all-timer. And I can't believe that this is the only Joe Dante movie that we've covered. It's kind of stunning, frankly. But I'm glad that we covered it. I thought it was a great conversation, and I thought it was a very good time.
Having a good time. I hate cul-de-sacs. There's only one way out, and the people are kind of weird.
Pizza dude's coming.
I guess join us for the after party for more of that.
Yeah.
Way
it's
more.
Gonna be us
way
doing
more
those
that.
like southern politician accents again.
I think what the good lady Kristina's trying to say is that we're gonna use this august body to discuss the matters of the day.
The august body must discuss the matters of the day. You were made by this chamber, molded by it.
I feel like Senator Tinkerbell could make an appearance on the
You
Senate
think Congress
floor.
is your ally? You think Congress is your ally? I was made by Congress, molded by it.
All right, join us for that. We're clearly already doing it anyway.
We're clearly at the point. So the Burbs,
hit the coconut.
Good movie. Oh, did we announce that we're doing Walk Hard next week?
We did not. Walk Hard. Whoa. My last episode.
Imagine.
Not last episode. I should phrase that differently. Not my last episode. My last episode
Wait,
for a month because I'm going to be out on tour. I would definitely not drop it at the end of a.
It reminds me of someone who just dropped us when we really needed them.
Oh.
Quit the show with a Bane impression. That would be so fucking perfect for this.
By the way, this isn't a bit. I'm leaving. I quit.
There's look. If you want to hear what's going on with the show, tune into the after party because there's going to be a couple episodes without me, and then we're coming back strong with I think Goodfellas and Jackie Brown.
Yeah,
right. Like I was like a 1-2
back to
punch. Back to
back,
bitch.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to do a Bane impression.
I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.